Chad Lowe was like, yeah, dude, I was coaching this kid, and he's like knows some people within the cartel or something like that, and yeah, they had their eyes on you.
On today's episode of the Grad Matters podcast, we welcome on a very special guest, Trever Maur. Trever Maur is a professional wakeboarder who has just recently become the marketing manager and team manager at Hyperlite. Today with Trever, we talk about movies, some absolutely crazy experiences that he had filming for the movie Al Sur, specifically one where he was trapped in a airport and there were alligators swimming around outside, so he couldn't get out. A lot more to that story, so stay tuned for that. We also talk about how important he thinks it's been for himself to be a full package athlete when it comes to a rider, someone who can sell the product, as well as someone who can shoot and edit videos. We also talked the importance of the West Coast culture of wake and some of the riders that really helped him along his way and kind of shaped his view of wakeboarding and the culture involved with the West Coast style of riding. If you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, I want to say thank you to all the Patreon subscribers. Joining the Patreon is absolutely the best way to keep this podcast going. It helps me out a ton. I can't thank the Patreon members enough, and you do get a free sticker pack when you join. So without further ado, hope you guys enjoy this podcast with Trever Maur.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Air railing.
A new dimension.
All right, we're back. Another episode of the Grad Matters podcast. Today we welcome on a very special guest, Trever Maur. How's that blood blister in your throat going?
Oh, man. Starting off strong.
Firing right now.
Well, okay, to bring it back, I brought in a bag of Ricola. And he asked me if I was a pro in this interview game. I said, no, I just got an old throat. No, I used to be extremely hype man. Like if you hang out with me now and you think I'm a hype man, just pre-old throat, I was a big hype fan. But we did X Games with Josh, and we had an after party, and there's loud music, and we were downtown, and it was good vibes, and I was like freaking out. And we were just trying to talk, and next thing you know, I had no voice for like 2-3 days, like at all, nothing. So now I can talk like if we're in a bar, I can talk for like a few hours high, and then like the next day is like pretty scratchy, and if I talk over that, I'll lose my voice.
Really?
Yeah.
And was it painful when it happened? Or
oh yeah, no, it's painful. It doesn't feel good. It's hard to talk. Like boat shows are hard for me, man, because it's elevated noise, elevated room, like sound, and it's just like hard to talk. But yeah, we're good. I got my Ricola. So
got Ricola. Yeah. So I did hear that before you go, if you're like public speaking, you're supposed to take a shot of like Jack Daniels or whiskey to soothe the throat.
I could see that. So we got beer. We're close.
We got beer and Ricola. That's probably even better.
Should I pop one in my beer? I think
it's like a little lime in your best Ricola.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you are in Orlando. There's a lot to talk about with Trever, obviously, but you're in Orlando right now. So that's how we're making this happen. And you did mention you took a set with some of the La Familia boys today.
The crew.
How'd that go?
It was fun, man. I haven't been to their house yet. Ty's like been talking to me like, oh, I got the sickest setup. It's like not in Orlando. It's like secluded. So there's no one on the lake and it's always butter. And, he'd FaceTime me and stuff. But yeah, going out there was cool. Mossy was there, and Ty. And it was sick. The boys threw down.
Yeah, Daniel Miles, was he filming anything or?
He wasn't.
Just hanging out.
But it was cool to talk to him because it was like, hey, what's going on with the video? And he kind of was like giving me some info, which was cool. And then he was kind of asking like about how to get videos off the ground and maybe like, marketing and like sponsor dollars and all that. So I got to give him some insight on that and how I did it with like some of the videos that I was able to put out. And yeah, it was cool.
Love that. Yeah. For those who don't know, La Familia is in the process of filming a full length video. So
really excited about it.
I think I'm very excited.
I'm like really excited about it. There's like, man, like they remind me of the old Pointless crew, right? Where it's like, they're doing like things like that are going to change the trajectory of where our sport is. And I feel like them as a crew, they all have their individual like things that they're good at. And so to put it all in one video and like spend more than just like a web edit length on it to really dive deep. And like, I'm excited to see how hard they go and like what tricks they come up with. And honestly, like where their interpretation on what their sections look like.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of those boys probably a lot of them probably haven't had their own section or they're like worked this hard on a section.
Yeah, besides Ty. I mean, Massey's had some video parts too.
But like what the Harris brothers and Ulf and those boys, I mean, like, yeah, there's like definitely going to be some heaters.
Yeah. And Daniel, like, you watch the other edits they've done.
Well, and his editing is
editing is really good. His filming is really good.
Yeah.
And they go hard for their, like,
he reminds me of like old
episodes.
school like editor, like almost skate vibe, like, it's sick. And we don't really have that too much in wakeboarding. So a lot of the wakeboarding seems like it's like very produced.
Yeah.
Which is still, I mean, that's like kind of where I go with it. So I'm not bagging that, but I think that skate vibe is something
It's
that
more raw, but still dialed, which
yeah.
is.
And they show like a good amount of lifestyle, which is cool. Cause like not very many
connect.
videos are like doing that now. So that's tight. Yeah.
I mean, they deserve their flowers, and we are very stoked for the movie, no doubt. So you bust out any tuck knees today? Any switch methods? You did a tuck knee.
I did do a tuck knee. I think I got my knee pretty close to the board too. I think I still got it.
Okay. I was going to ask who has the best tuck knee in wakeboarding or had.
I think Josh might have stole. Like, I feel like I had a good tuck knee. Actually, no, hang on. Let me back up. Mike Schwenne's tuck knee back when he was originating in the wakeboard space. Well, there actually was, I think there was like, I don't know what female, but there was a girl in Australia that was doing tuck knees like way, way back, but I can't remember who it was. But then Schwenne started doing it like, he was kind of doing that. And he was the only one in wakeboarding doing it. He was like using old, like, I think when he started, he was like taking old wakeboard boots and cutting everything off of them. So it was just like the inside of a really old Parks Hyperlite boot. It was just the sock.
Yeah.
And he was like, super floppy, and he was getting like really deep into them. And then I wanted to emulate that. And so Schwenne probably has the best tuck knees in the game, straight up.
So
I think Josh, like, I mean, dude,
he's got a mean one, dude.
He's got,
and he puts it in stuff too, where it's like,
he does like the back roll tuck knee, and it's as proper as it gets. Like back roll the blind, just, cranked down.
Yeah, a good 1-2 punch there, though, for sure, both of them.
Yeah.
Wake pants, yes or no? How we feeling?
Is that a question?
That is a question.
Dude, of course, man. I don't even think that's a question. That's like part of my it's in my board bag 24/7. Boat.
Oh, you do travel with them, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boat, cable, winch. It's in the arsenal.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I saw that one coming, but it's an obligatory question to ask.
You want to know? Okay, so like let's take it back for a second with the wake pants thing, because Shane Bonifay, obviously the originator, but I would say he took a heavy break on him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it was interesting how this whole wake pants thing actually kind of came about, because I don't want to claim that I was like the next guy, but I was definitely kind of towards the beginning of this whole new revolution or something. But it was interesting how it came about, because I started doing like some winching and some wakeboarding collab, sections where you put them all into the same thing. And when we winch down at home, it gets really cold. So you have the wetsuit on. So obviously I want to cover up the wetsuit, because it just looks weird when you're like in tights out in the streets, because like everybody's doing it and everybody has that same opinion. It seems like, now that I've been listening to this, but back then it was kind of still gray area, right? More people were doing it, probably winching and stuff, but it was still a gray area. Well, we got asked to do a dual cover shot, Josh and I, on the boat. And we were sponsored by Body Glove at the time. So we actually went out and shot for an Alliance cover, doubles in the air. I think I was doing a tuck knee and Josh was doing like a method, I think. We shot it, had a good image, had like everything was dialed. And then the very next day got dropped from Body Glove. But we only had Body Glove suits. So it was like, okay, well, we're going to cover these up. So in that specific image, both Josh and I rode in wake pants on the cover, and that's kind of where it like clicked in my head. I was like, okay, this is actually kind of works on the boat too, because like now you can like put stuff that's from the winch into the boat sections, and it all like mingles. Like there's no like, oh, you look like this person on the boat, and then you look like this person on the cable.
Continuity with that.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like, oh wow, that actually kind of worked, and it's maybe a little heavier, but it's sick.
It is very sick, yeah. And sometimes you gotta, I mean, it's a little heavier, but it's worth it more often than not to look good, look good, feel good, all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's heavy for sure. Like there's sometimes I get off the boat and I put my stuff on the back of the deck, and like Josh would go to move all my stuff and he'd be like, dude, this is like 20 pounds. Like, how are you? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I feel good. So I feel like I'm riding okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what matters at the end of the day. I always obviously do the favorite grab, but I want to do a little bit different here.
Okay.
I want to do favorite grab on a straight air and then on a trick.
Ooh.
Could be the same, but I'm curious.
No, yeah, I get that. I think favorite grab on the straighter would be the method. I haven't done a traditional method though in probably like 5 or 6 years. It's been the rope, hand through the rope method.
Okay.
And so I feel like that is kind of probably why I like it a little bit more. Because if I didn't do that, I'd probably say like a tail grab or something.
Yeah.
But like it feels really good. So I like the method, straight air. And then on a trick, tuck knee threes feel great. I like that. That's a pretty solid one. I'll do that every single set. So I guess I have to say that, right? It's a feel good. It's like if you get a good, like your knee's almost on the board, it gets close, then you're like, okay, your set's going to go good for sure. So
yeah. So you do have tricks that you do. I mean, obviously everyone has like warm up tricks they do every time, but like you got a couple that you do almost every set when you go out. I mean, obviously that's one of them, but like, do you have any other ones?
I mean, the bag of tricks that I have is a lot smaller than some, so I pretty much do like most of my tricks all in one set. But our sets are like 45 minutes, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah, out on the Delta, we ride like 45 minutes straight.
Is it just because it's so easy? Because you're just
I don't know. Like we don't have turnarounds,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, we do, but you don't have to. Like here in Orlando, when you go to the lakes, it's like four tricks, and everybody's on this like competition style, like bang them out, ba ba ba. It's not like that on the Delta. It's like we always say, like in the fall is the best time to ride because obviously there's no wind, but there's also nobody out there, right? And so you could literally go out for a 45-minute set, not turn over your own wakes or run into another person out there. So like you could be on a complete sheet of glass for 45 minutes straight, which like slows your pace of riding down.
Yeah.
So like that's where this like cruise control, just like kind of like flow state kind of like comes in. And then what might take like somebody, I don't know, 20 seconds to do 5 tricks will take me like a minute to do 5 tricks because I'm just cruising.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, for some who don't know what the Delta, like the layout of the, I guess, lakes is kind of a weird word because it's not really, I mean, it is lakes, right?
It's not a lake.
It's
no,
not
there
a
is
lake.
no lake. It's a river. So it comes in from Shasta, turns into the Sacramento River, and then it goes through locks that they can like stop the flow or bring down the flow or whatever. But then it actually all goes into San Francisco Bay. So if you get close to the bay, it'll actually get brackish. Mm-hmm. But because we're further on the water coming into the flow rather than it leaving, we don't have to deal with the salt. But they have like had to escort some whales back to the ocean. So
Really, they got lost.
Who knows what's in our water? I don't know.
Got some whales you're jibbing over.
We hang out with some sea lions, so that's cool.
Sea lions are sweet.
Yeah,
That's cool.
They're big.
A whole different vibe in the Delta,
Yeah.
it seems.
No, yeah, it's cool.
And we'll dive into that in a little bit. But
Right on.
Who has the best grabs in wakeboarding? Or maybe your favorite?
Josh Twalker. I think that's Chris O'Shea.
That's another good one.
Chris O'Shea was pretty mind-blowing. He was like one of the guys that like, yeah, he like definitely changed the trajectory of where my mind was on what tricks, but he has long arms.
That helps a lot.
Dude, he's got long arms, man. Like it looks like he can get into a grab where like my grab, like I'm like reaching for it and he's just like tucked up and I'm like, that must be nice.
It must be nice to have those long arms.
Yeah.
We got a early Patreon question from Pedro Caldas.
Oh, wow.
Called us. So
Yeah, let's go.
if you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, make sure to join the Patreon. Helps keep this thing going. Means a ton to have everybody on there. So thank you to all the members on the Patreon. Pedro is, and several others, unsurprisingly, are wondering about the ship wallride.
Oh.
So I feel like we could have dove into this later in videos, but this is, I wanted
no.
to talk about it.
All right, no, we're good. We're good.
We're going right in.
All right, so okay, this is funny because so let's rewind a bit back because Murray, I think, talked about a little bit of this stuff, right?
Yep.
So we went on a shoot in Texas a long time ago, and he threw up the wall. He talked about it, right? He threw up that wall and that piece of cement, and I saw it. I was in the boat, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Super rad. And then we used to ride in Stockton, which is like on the Delta, but it's like further. It's where all the ships are. And so we would go there for like some photo shoots or something like that if we're trying to get something special or something. And one time I just drove the boat by and it formed it. And I was like, dude, this is going to be it. But then never did it for like years. But it was always on my mind. I was like, I'm going to do it for Dog Days. And then I got hurt and never did it. I'm going to do it for this project. And then it just like fell through and just didn't happen. And so I knew it would work because I've seen it done with Murray. And
Yeah,
then
Murray had the cover of that, yeah.
And Murray did the cover. And then, but he like got like the wave only went up so far because then it went over the ship. And so like, I was like, okay, cool. There's still room to do something unique without it like completely jacking what he was going to, like what he did. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's keep and go. Let's go back. And so, yeah, I wanted to do it for dog days and it didn't work out. And then come Scumline, I was like, this is a for sure thing that's going to happen. No doubt, you know, a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
I was going to ask.
Dude, I'll give you some clips. I'll send you clips.
Okay. I'll put those in.
Because there was some where I like railed straight at it, but the boat either was too far or it was wrong. And I just went straight into the wall. Full speed, dude. Just full lean lock edge, trying to get as high as I want. And then my board just went into the wall. Like, dude.
It's a funny visual I'm painting in my head. I'm sure it hurt. And it
wasn't fun. So bad, dude. Just straight to it was not fun. But yeah, no, it was cool. I actually it took about a day. I did a bunch of tries. It took me about a day to figure out how to make the wake work. And then nobody messed with us. Like all the workers were looking over the boat and stuff. They were like, this is, I don't know, they weren't really saying anything, but they were like,
probably hyped.
Yeah, they were giving us some high five or some like claps and stuff. And so then I went back, didn't get it, but I felt like it was still doable. And then the second time we went back, I was like, all right, cool, we're good. And then I started having troubles with it. Couldn't get up the same way. And we changed something on the boat. And we actually made our boat better that day too, which was kind of cool. But we made a bigger wake because we had to do some stuff underneath it, and it ended up like unlocking a whole nother thing on that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, but it changed because we did that. It changed what we had on the actual ship as well.
Yeah.
And so we had to like change like how slow we were going, how fast we were going, how close we were going. And so like it took a while. And all while doing that, there was like another crew like working on some of the pillars and the pier. And they were like, they pretty much asked us to stop. And we pretty much said, you don't own the waters in a nice way. We're going to continue. Cause like, yeah, it was.
Do you not know we're stacking for Scumline right now? Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I was looking back. We probably could have done a better job.
Why weren't they hyping? Was it like the waves kind of throwing up?
Yeah,
what they were trying to do, or what?
We probably could have stopped the boat maybe a little earlier, but we were trying to get reps in, and they were frustrated. We were frustrated. The whole thing was like kind of going. But anyways, they called the cops, and so at that point we knew that the time was ticking because like I was like, I'm getting this. This is happening, and sure enough, like I figured it out, and I was like, okay, but I didn't land it. I figured it out, rode away, and then kind of tipped over. It's like, oh my gosh! I got up, and as I got up, we started seeing the cops come in, but they came in by car. Bro,
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? They came in by car, and so like the workers went over there, and I was like, I have one shot left. Like, let's go, and boom, worked out.
Wow,
literally worked out last try. We worked on it for 2 days. Last try. I think I could have done it better. Still, I think I could have gotten higher because we finally figured everything out exactly.
Yeah,
but it was time to leave.
Yeah, it's time to get out of there.
It was time to leave.
Wild. I didn't know that was kind of a race against time situation because I wasn't sure. You know, you got a boat that you're going, obviously driving pretty close to it, so it's going to draw.
Not pretty close. We were like
right next to it.
Yeah, you're like feet, bro. Like you're stacking that boat up real close.
Yeah. So obviously you're going to draw some attention there, but
yeah.
I mean that obviously the whole movie did super well, but that is one of those clips that's like a standout of like blows your mind, right? It's like you saw Murray do a similar thing, and then you take it even bigger, where it's like this quarter pipe that's like perfectly up against the boat.
Well, I got the idea from when he did it on that little bridge, but it actually didn't. I mean, the way he did it on the bridge wasn't exactly what he was even thinking.
Yeah.
And then I had the idea, and then he went and did it, and I was like, oh, it's for sure gonna work.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out though.
The whole water ramp, dude.
It was
the
so
water
sick.
ramp. Oh, it looks so fun.
It
too.
is.
It looks so
I recommend
fun.
if you find a boat and just do it.
Just make it happen.
Hit me up. I'll give you some of the details so it takes out that buffer time.
Maybe avoid the first running into the side of the thing a little bit.
Oh, I'll send you clips. They're good.
I'm excited to see that. So we got a gift from Derek Cook, and then he kind of also wants you to tell us about the helmet toilet. So let me grab this gift.
Oh my god, dude!
So I had to pick this up. I don't know if this is related, but he wanted you to have that Gatorade.
I don't understand the Gatorade.
Maybe he's messing with me because he says you need to give Trever a Gatorade.
Oh, it's probably because I had a hard time in Alcer and I would not drink. I don't drink juice. I've had like 2 sodas in my life.
Not like a sweet drink kind of guy?
Nope, I'm not really a Gatorade, just colored liquids. I mean, beer. But I didn't start drinking until I was like 20 because I was scared of the bubbles.
The bubbles?
Carbonation, never had it.
As a kid, never had it?
Not till I was 20.
Well, that'll throw you for a loop if you haven't had it before.
Yeah. All right, for Cook, I'll give him a sip.
Give him a little sip.
I'll give him a sip.
I wasn't sure what the story was, but obviously we'll get into Elser, and some other videos in a bit. But
it kind of tastes like medicine.
The full sugar Gatorade, I don't even know how that stuff's legal, for being honest. I mean, that was probably 4 sugar cubes worth of sugar.
That was for you, Cook. That was definitely for you.
Thanks, Derek Cook, for that one. So, yeah, helmet toilet. I can't sounds self-explanatory, but.
Yeah, it was pretty much what it was. So, yeah. You can't believe you remembered that. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, so we were shooting for Prime. Had to pick up Kilgus from the airport. And so we were on a time crunch, and I was like, okay, cool. We're going. And all of a sudden, when like just the poop hits you and it's like there, and I had nowhere to go. And like I passed all the places, and I kind of just had a mind thing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go to the cable park because the cable park was right there. I'm just going to go to the cable park and I'll poo. And then the gate was closed when I got there. And I was like full freak out mode. When your body's shutting down? Oh, yeah. And you're just like kind of like, oh my God. That was happening. And so I was like, oh my gosh, screw this. And I just stopped. I dumped. I had gotten like one of those little grocery bag full of nuts or trail mix or something. I dumped out all the trail mix and I wrapped the bag around my helmet and put the helmet down. And I got in the back of my car, took a dump in the helmet, and then like wrapped it up, and there you go. Self-explanatory.
Well, I didn't realize there was at least a barrier. There's some protection to the helmet.
There was,
so that's good.
But and then I wore that helmet for I did not retire that helmet.
Well, yeah, I feel like you can after that. I mean, it's been through a lot for you.
No, yeah, that thing stays around.
It's had your back, literally. So, I mean,
I can't believe he even remembered that.
He has a couple other things.
Pretty wild. That's a while ago.
That's a good one though. So I say we dive into a little bit on the early days of young Trever Maur. And I kind of want to, just talk about growing up out west, getting into wakeboarding, kind of your first experiences in the water sports world, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a kid, I was always into like the water stuff because my dad used to race like X2 stand-up jet skis and stuff. So like I was like way in. I thought I was going to be a pro jet skier, to be honest. Like when I was young, it was like, that's what I'm doing. Because the law used to be you could ride them at like 12 years old back in California and stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, for sure. That's what I'm doing. And then like when I was 11, just about to turn 12, they changed the law to 16. So that just changed it all. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to be a pro anymore. All right. But yeah, no, we used to always spend time on the water. We go on a houseboat trip with family friends, like from 0 years old until now, I guess. And, got on the wakeboard, loved it, and kind of like turned the hobby into more of a passion in high school. Kind of like negotiated my way into turning it into my own school sport. You look at me funny, but
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was my mom and dad told me I had a school sport, like do something within the school in high school. Like it was like a mandatory thing. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. But I really didn't want to do anything. I tried out for the football team, but they have you run around in like 110 degrees fully padded. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. And then like all my friends played water polo, couldn't do the Speedos. I was like, nope, not for me. And so I found a sport that had cuts. And I was like, for sure, I can't make the tennis team. Like all the club tennis players. I was like, dude, sign me up. So like signed up, got cut. And my mom and dad were like, well, you still have to do something. Well, there's nothing to do. There's no sign-ups.
I tried.
And I was like, why don't we turn wakeboarding into an after-school sport? And we'll like do that. And they fell for it. And next thing you know, we're here.
One thing leads to another. You're marketing guy at Hyperlite. So
yeah, no, and then kind of like loved the INT thing and loved all that type of aspect of wakeboarding, kind of growing up into it. And then pretty much met Mike Schwenne, and then everything was on a trajectory towards where it's at.
So before that though, when you are riding in high school and you kind of turn into your sport, what's the logistics of it? Are you guys living really close to water? You guys have your own boat? Like what's that situation like?
Yeah, so no, we did not live next to water. We were like 30 minutes from the lake. But we had, so my grandparents had a jet boat. Like the first boat that I learned how to do all that stuff was behind a jet boat, where it has you can actually walk down. There's like a little couch and a refrigerator.
Oh, like a big one.
It wasn't big though. It was like, man, I should try to find some photos. It was probably like a 25-foot boat, but it was like, it had this like little like step down cabin thing that you could go in. So it was like closed bow that you could kind of like crawl in. It had like I don't even know how to explain it. There's a bed in there too.
A little cuddy cabin.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And so we had that, and then I started liking the stuff. So my mom and dad got like a ski boat, I think we got a ski sanger. And and then like pretty much was like betting my parents on like, hey, if I can clear the wake, can I get a pole? If I can do a 540, can I get fat sacks? And so it was just like turned into this like competition within, you know, the family and stuff. And then, ended up getting a Moomba, and my parents worked out like a deal with Moomba, with the INT league and stuff. So we were like the towboat for the central INT league. So my dad was now the driver, and it just made it all pretty seamless. So,
yeah. A little bit easier to get that, you know, legit towboat. So
we were about half an hour from the lake though. So.
Okay. So because you were by Fresno, right? Is where you grew up?
Yep.
In that
Tony
area?
Carroll. Me and Tony went to the same school.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a grade above me. So we ended up getting a membership to a private lake. That was part of the whole high school, like, hey, if we do this, because in California you have to have a flag, like a person in the boat with a flag. So you need 3 people. So if you had a membership to the private lake, then you would
got their own rules. And
yeah, exactly. So you don't need the person. So then it was just me and my dad. My dad would pick me up after school. We'd hop in the truck and cruise out to the lake. And yeah, Tony was out there. So I got to hang out and meet Tony a lot more while I was out there. But yeah, he was like, pretty much if you asked anybody in the whole entire school who wakeboards, it was Tony Carroll.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he was doing like the PWT on the junior tour, I think, and all that kind of stuff.
So you just mentioned INT. So you were doing quite a bit of contests in high school those early days.
I loved it because I did well. And so it was like, you know, it was cool to like do well.
Yeah.
As soon as I went to the outlaw division, I didn't do so well, so it wasn't as cool. That's when Tony Carroll would just whoop on me.
So speaking of, contests, right? So was that initially your thought was like, I'm going to do the contest path, become a professional wakeboarder through contests? Like you saw Tony maybe doing some contests and you're like, I'm going to follow that path? Or was that ever a thought you had of, I'm going to be a professional wakeboarder?
I think in the very early days, yeah, when it was local. But as soon as I started seeing how much it costs to go to like a legitimate like tour stop, that all went out the door. Like my family wasn't like, we weren't like poor, like at all. Like we were, you know, self-sufficient, but there was definitely sacrifices that were made within my family. And so it wasn't to go to like, you know, out of state 8 times a year to chase the tour was not really in the cards.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when did that turn from, I guess, when did you realize like, oh, I want to be a professional wakeboarder? Because at 11, you want to be a professional jet skier.
That's very true. Bad. I got my race skis still.
You do? There you go. I mean, hey, keep hope alive. It could happen.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I wouldn't say I knew I was going to be pro in high school, but I think chasing that dream was there, but it was like pretty far away. I learned like my first flip in high school, and I had been wakeboarding since I was 8. So if you do the math on how long my progression took, it's the odds were stacked against. I mean, yeah, I had a lot of dreams and hopes, and I just kind of like never stopped dreaming and hoping, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll get into kind of, you know, how you didn't go pro and all that stuff, but like I want to hear about the California scene back then as you're getting older, and you talked about Mike earlier, so maybe just kind of elaborate on the influence he had and the culture. The
California scene was like big time, like when I was young. I mean, like it might not have been nearly as big as like Orlando and all that stuff because that was like the quote unquote Mecca. But when it comes to California, we were holding our own. You had Canyon Lake that had Melissa Marquette, Randall, the Valdez brothers, Murphy. I mean, the list is pretty big. And then you come up north and you had still Josh Smith was around. He was still doing camps out there. Derek Cook. Daniel Dow. I mean, there's like a heavy list of guys that were all like Aaron Aubrey, Schwenne. I mean, there was a sick list. Justin Fisher. I mean, like, yeah, there's a cool amount of people that like, you're like, okay, cool. It can be done out here. Definitely. And to be honest, most everybody around my age or even older than me came through or went through at some point Schwenne's camp. Like maybe not the OGs, but like a lot of them, like Valdez, like all, yeah, it was cool. Schwenne had a huge stake in the West Coast.
Yeah, I guess maybe dive into a little bit more on him, his camp, like what that looked like for you and everybody.
Yeah,
else.
so like I met Schwenne at a rail jam that I had no business being there trying to ride in. Like I'd never really hit rails. I don't know if you just seen I did like that 10 years video. And there's like the clip of me doing the rail across the ground.
Yeah, I'll put the
kind of embarrassing now, but back then it was pretty sick, right? And so like that was me prepping to go to a rail contest coming, and it was called the what was it called? It was at Echo Marine in Visalia called the Mudslide. Bonnet Shane was there. I want to say Harf was there. Like there were some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Me training on my rave rail on the ground. I was like, yeah, dude, we're gonna hit rails today. But yeah, no, I met Schwenne there, and he gave me a West Coast Camps DVD. And when I saw the West Coast Camps DVD, one, I was in high school and was taking some film classes, and so I was like, dude, this is sick. One, I want to be a part of the camp, and two, I wonder if I could ever like make one of these videos for him. So I became a camper for 1 year, loved it, learned like crazy amount of tricks, like a stupid amount of tricks. I was like at the pinnacle when like, you know, in the tipping point when you're like about to hit, like, let's say you got your heel 3, but you're working on your toe 3, and then like all these other tricks are right around the corner. Like I went there right then. So I was able to get 14 different spins and inverts, pretty basics.
Yeah.
But like once you tip that, you know, you're boom. And so Schwenne was like, this guy is doing really well. I hope I had a good attitude enough, because he was like, hey, you should be an intern. And I just loved the sport so much. And so I became an intern at West Coast Camps. And then the next year I just wanted to make that DVD, because he gave me a DVD. And so I wanted to make that DVD for him. So I was like, my goal. I interned to film his crew and make the DVD.
Okay. What is this DVD? Is this like an advertisement for the camp?
But it is. But like he made an hour-long advertisement camp video, and it was like sections, dude. Like he had like all of his staff had a section in the video, and then it showed all the fun. West Coast Camps was the sickest camp that you could go to. You lived on a houseboat, on 2 houseboats tied together for a week. There's no rules, especially back then.
Yeah.
Once I became a camper, some rules got put in place. But like before me, when I was a camper, there's no rules, dude. Like it was lawless out there. It was sick.
Love that. Yeah. So, I've heard a lot, and it's good to hear even more, because it's like you said, there's a lot of people that went through that camp.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Josh went through Ty. Oh
yeah,
man.
Ty Hine.
I have a video shot of Ty where he's like a midget, like little guy, just like tiny. And he came through camp.
Love that. So that kind of like was a movie advertisement. Did you have any favorite, I guess not other movies, but other movies growing up that you kind of got experience with and, loved?
Yeah. My very first movie I ever had was Incomplete in 6th grade. It was sick. None of my friends wakeboarded, had boat, anything. Like, you know what I mean? It was all like, it was just me and this little clique, and I made every single one of them watch Pointless. I was like, I got this new movie. Like, we're all watching movie night. So yeah, Pointless was my first movie, or Incomplete. Yeah. And then 12 Honkies was my second movie, both on VHS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are 2, very famous.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I would like watch over and over. And then Shafted. Bought Shafted and Shafted came in a dual pack. So that was where I started.
Some of the early videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I literally would watch them. Like I said, the progression that I was on was a lot lower than like some of the people's progression, right? It took me a while just to learn a flip. But I remember being like, they're doing toe 7s. One day I think I could do a toe 7. I'm already doing toe, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm going through as a checklist, even though like now knowing it's not just the checklist, it's the way you do the trick. And it's like, there's so much more. But in my head back then, I was like, if I can just click off some of these tricks.
3, 5, 7. There we go. Yeah.
I'll have a sponsor tape.
Yeah. There you go. You had it all figured out.
I did, for sure.
I think it's time we dive into the LF'n Wheel of Questions presented by Liquid Force.
The LF'n Wheel of Questions.
Okay, let's go.
So we do have some trivia on there. Speaking of videos, we got some video trivia. If you want to go ahead and grab that.
All right, let's do it.
Bring it on down here. And we got obviously the classics like GOAT on there, but give that bad boy a spin and see where she
kind of nervous on the video trivias because, man, I feel like you did your homework.
I'm not going to say they're not easy. They're definitely not easy. What do we got?
All right, steal a trick.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
All right.
So steal a trick is, as
I
you're
probably
thinking
would say Josh's Rap Dum Dum.
Okay.
Pretty wild one because it's definitely a harder trick and not as like cruisy, but I feel like it would go. Yeah, I feel like that would be a nice video.
That's a good one. I wouldn't have thought of that one.
Yeah,
that's a good poll.
Yeah,
I think that I like that.
You have a suggestion? What trick
Oh,
should
no. I think
Yeah?
that's a great one.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have thought of that one. I'm just saying I think we should do video trivia too.
Let's do it.
Because you just seem so excited for it.
Well, look at
Oh, you were one off.
I happened to go to video trivia. Look at that, dude. Look at that.
All right. These ones are pretty easy because I have some more later, but these are videos that you didn't create. Who had the ender in the 2014 film Prime?
Ender and Prime. Oh, man. I feel like it was... I want to say Wrathy, but I feel like I'm wrong.
It's not Wrathy, no. The answer won't surprise you, though.
Danny Harf.
No, Harley Clifford.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Oh, that's a bad one. That was bad on me, huh?
All right, we'll go a little bit.
Oh, man, dude. Bad on me. Okay.
We'll go a little bit more recent with this one.
I wish I could say I watched that video a lot, but I haven't seen that video a lot. I've seen it maybe twice.
Yeah, I haven't seen it a whole lot.
Two or three times.
Quite a bit of slow-mo on that one. It's a tough, not a tough rewatch, but
there's a couple sections that are insane, and like the cinematography is unbelievable, but it's a lot of slow, which is not wrong. And then honestly, like now I've been incorporating a lot more slow in my videos too.
Yeah. It's a different vibe for sure.
Yeah, maybe I need to watch that again.
Give it a rewatch. I mean, it's
All right.
we got a more recent one here.
All right, let's hit it.
Who had the opening section in the 2018 film Formats? By Taylor Hanley.
Okay. I want to say. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the.
I think there
order
were five parts, right?
Yeah, I know. I want to say it's Nick, but I can't remember if it's Nick. I'm leaning towards Nick.
Nick Dorsey. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we got Nick Dorsey.
I know Gunther, Dylan, Nick, Raph.
Who's the other one?
How am I spacing on this? The movie was amazing. I should know every single one of these sections.
You got four.
I know, but who's the fifth? My gosh.
Felix Georgi.
Felix.
Yeah, opening section.
That's right. Oh my God. Dude, I'm doing horrible. Who am I?
You know what? Maybe we can we'll make up for it later when we talk about some of your videos. Because I'm sure you'll get them.
I would hope.
You know, at this point, I don't know anymore. Trevor.
Yeah, I know.
Who are you?
I know.
All right, we can go ahead and put that LF'n Wheel of questions back. Thanks to Looking Force for that.
I used to know every single section by every song of all the videos I had as a kid.
Yeah.
I could see a section in my head from the songs, but
Well, and when you bring out the song, it's like takes you back, so that helps a lot.
it's hard to watch these movies now with kids. You're just running around with your head chopped off, and you have less DVD time. You have more little kid shows on the TV than you ever had in your life.
And they're entertainment of their own,
Yeah.
I'm sure as well. Let's talk turning pro. So you mentioned kind of once you went outlaw, it was like, maybe the contest path. I don't know if I'd be really able to hold my own in this aspect.
I just wasn't my riding. I knew I wouldn't podium. I knew I wouldn't even probably get top 5.
Yeah.
Maybe not even top 10. I just knew where my level of riding was, and what I wasn't trying to do those tricks. Like honestly, I was like trying to get tricks that would photograph well, like really low. Like like even 7s weren't that high up on the food chain for me. I was like really into trying to like poke out and hold my grabs as long as possible because I would work with like Rodrigo daily. So it wasn't like my mind never went to hard tricks. Like once I realized I wasn't there, it was just I fully switched.
Yeah. Okay. So before we talk about kind of turning pro and becoming a sponsored rider and all that, how many pro wakeboard tour events have you been to?
Have I been to?
Or competed in, I guess.
1.
How'd you do?
I broke my board.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you broke your board. Okay. You were tied for 25th.
Yeah, no, I didn't do well. I think I made half a pass and my board snapped. Yeah. It was a long time ago. It was when they were in California.
Yeah. Right in your backyard there.
Yeah, one.
What did you break it on? You remember?
No, I have no idea.
Dang.
It was the same contest that Randall competed in, and he couldn't even do anything because they wouldn't fix the boat, and it was porpoising, and they would not add weight to the front of the boat because it was against their making the wake different rules or something.
But you can go your own speed with your own rope length, right?
Exactly, but his speed is like, you got to put weight in the front of the boat for him, or it porpoises, but they wouldn't do it. So like it was It was a shame. Everybody wanted to see him ride. Just put two people on the bow and call it good, man.
Yeah, come on. Okay, so I do want to dive into becoming a pro rider and kind of making the wakeboarding part of your life your career path. So was it clear, and you did mention this earlier, that you can become a pro rider while still remaining in California rather than, it's, I have to move to Florida to become a pro wakeboarder? Was that clear to you kind of growing up and getting older?
No, because that's a hard one. Most of the guys that were pro in California weren't making a crazy amount of money. So, and that was noticeable. Like everybody knew it was more passion driven, or you had something on the side. Like Mel was probably an exception. Randall at one point was probably an exception, but then he had a hard time like financially figuring it out too. But for the most part, like California was like a pretty difficult place to make it, I guess. But you're talking like when I started, Instagram wasn't a thing. Web videos were just starting. So it was like the platform for all those riders before me was just different. It was like to do that, you had to be kind of in front of the limelight. And I think it was just like they were more soul riders.
Yeah.
And so everybody knew that they shredded, and on big projects, they might call them in. But when you're at home, you're just like, soul riding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you're starting to get better, are you picking up any sponsors, after high school, this time of your life? Like, what's that looking like?
Yeah. So, so to back it into high school, I was able to figure out how to like get into this edit school. Kind of wild, but I had like my high school, and then there was this like other school that was like high school, but it wasn't my high school.
Okay.
Kind of hard to explain, but I could pretty much take this school as my my extra classes or extra units. So like I think I had to exchange my PE, so I didn't take PE anymore, and then I was able to do like my English and something else all wrapped into this video school. And so I did it for 2 years, and I started editing, and just worked really hard on like becoming like an editor so I can get sponsor tapes. And at that time, I think I had like some local sponsor, and then CWB at the time. All the California people were on CWB. Like back then, it was like CWB pretty much ran the Delta. And then pretty much once I started working with Schwenne, and I got it taken into the camp and all that stuff, it's actually kind of funny. He got me on Hyperlite by saying that the Hyperlite was going to give all these team athletes, so like Jimmy, Mike, and all these different guys, they were going to be able to pick people underneath them, which is actually kind of a cool idea, right? So like if Schwenne liked my riding style, and then he had two other kids that he thought were like in the Legion team like element, he could bring them on to the Tribute team, because back in the day his board was called the Tribute, and we would showcase his board and like be on his team. And so he presented to me this idea. I was like, oh, this sounds so insane. I can be like underneath Schwenne on Hyperlite. This is so sick. When I actually got a part of Hyperlite, it ended up being like on the Legion team underneath Greg Nelson, and ended up being amazing. It's not like I rode the Tribute every day anyways, but it was a cool idea.
Yeah, that is a cool idea.
Yeah. But then got on that. I want to say I was 18.
Okay.
So, and then that was kind of like the trajectory of when everything else started to happen.
So, I was going to say, speaking of Hyperlite, it sounds like it was pretty much immediate. Like that was kind of the direction you were going. So what's, I guess, that initial, are you just getting hooked up with gear to start? And then, what's the progression of that?
So like for me, it was a very much like eased in program. It was never like I dropped a section and went pro. That wasn't even a thing in my mind. It was like work hard, go to everything I can, and hopefully this will work out, right? Pretty much I was on flow, and then I got asked to do a photo shoot, and I would film the photo shoot, but then I was able to ride the low-end boards. And then I got pulled into doing Seafair or doing these other events, and I got to hang out with Greg, and my riding, slowly got better and better and better. I started shooting with rod more and more, got some time in the magazines and all this different stuff, and then it just kind of trickled into it.
Okay, so a very, like you said, slow progression into it.
Yeah.
But was it, I guess, did you see the path of, once you started getting hooked up, kind of talking to the guys, did you see a path of like, okay, now I see how I can kind of insert myself here, maybe not just because of my riding, but because of, I think you've mentioned it before, like the whole package type situation.
It was a very much whole package situation. Like, yeah, once I started getting into the photo shoots, you can kind of see, like, you're hanging out with all these, like, big names, right? I never met, like, Rusty, Jimmy, JD, and all of a sudden I'm, like, chilling at their house, and they're, like, throwing out nicknames for you and all this different, you know what I mean? So, like, at some point, there's, like, this switch where you're like, all right, cool, I think I'm in. I'm in to at least the crew, and then as long as my riding kept on going, it was like, yeah, it was kind of just, I don't know how to say it, then it just kind of evolved. I don't think there was ever a moment where it kind of like was the aha moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it pretty much got to the point where I was like, felt like I was helping enough within the whole entire like Hyperlite program. And with, I was on Axis back in the day and all this, I was helping out so much. I was doing like RV tours with Axis. I was doing like photo shoots with Hyperlite. And I was also getting like a bunch of magazine love too at the time. Right. So it was easy to be like, here's my portfolio. And then at the time, it was like, hey, some big life decisions are happening. I'm either out or I'm in. Is there anything that you can do to keep me in? I've been here for a while. Is there a way to make it happen? And then they just chucked me a bone and was like, hey, here's a little something. We want you around. And then the next year it grew. And then the next year it grew. And so it was more like, it was a big time, like right place, right time. And there was availability to be able to give me a little extra, you know?
Yeah. And whole package. I think that shouldn't be, you know, you mentioned it, but it shouldn't be looked over. That was a huge.
Yeah.
Not to say you weren't a great rider. I'm just trying to,
you
know. So that first paycheck, did you ever cash it?
I did not.
Was it for a lot of money? How much were we talking for the first one?
Well, so the very first one was pretty low. It was $250, but I think there was like, I did something, so he paid me extra. So it was actually a $500 check. Never cashed it.
Still sitting there?
Still sitting there.
Okay. It's not worth as much now, but unfortunately,
yeah,
if you were to try and cash that,
it's
have
okay.
some problems with the accounting department at Hyperlite there.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a roll slow, and so it wasn't like I was like turning heads like day one. It was like, hey, let's get this guy excited. Let's throw him a bone. Yeah. And I mean, that's all it took for me. Like I was like, yep, let's go.
Because that is a big moment when it comes to, you know, that's the hardest thing to do.
Is to break the barrier.
Yeah.
Like as soon as a company is like stoked on like your thing and they're like investing just a little bit into you, you're like your light switch.
It's a sense of belief you can totally have in yourself. To do this.
Totally.
Yeah. So we got I want to talk about some other sponsors here, and a Patreon question from Ollie DeRome is a good way to lean into it. So he's wondering how working on different projects and, you know, working with different companies has helped you get a better idea and understanding of how to bring value to your sponsors. So he said, you know, multiple projects you've done, for example, Beyond Access and its big branding years, follow season 10 team shoot, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Man. So doing each video, I learned a ton. So the first video I did, I didn't have to do like a pitch or like any type of proposals or anything. It was like I was just brought in. So I learned a lot on how it worked. And I knew he showed me the budgets. He showed me how much it cost. And so I was like kind of understanding just like the whole overall picture of what it takes to make a video. And then when it came into like dog days is when I actually had to do my own proposals and send out my own things. And like, I mean, it was a fully, like I ran that whole thing. And so like learning and how to work with the companies was very interesting. It was cool because you learn that there's like a bunch of different budgets and how to tap into different ones. And some people might not like to spend money over here, but they'll spend money over here. And, you know, just different stuff like that was crazy. Just to like learn about on that scale.
What do you mean by that? I guess that's curious. I'm curious on what you mean by like they want to spend money here, but maybe not here as much. And
well,
like
I mean, like there's
that.
different budgets, right? So like you have your athletic budget, you got your marketing budget, you have, I mean, I'm sure you have like your write-offs, you have a bunch of different things. So like say for like dog days, it was like nobody really wanted, I don't want to say nobody because I got money for it for sure.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some of the sponsors that were just like, here, write the check and go. Some of the companies were more so inclined to, let's say, if I send them a couple thousand in gas receipts, you know, that stuff I was going to spend anyways, let's go.
Yeah.
Or some of them were like, just wanted to do a workaround where like maybe like for instance, like one of the board shops was down to like pretty much get a bunch of product and then sell it for full price, but then give me the benefits of their sale. So like I was able to make some cash, like, you know, the in between money that they just didn't make.
Yeah.
But they also didn't lose. So like, there was just some workarounds, and it was like the stuff like that I learned that was like
Getting creative with where the
very
money's
creative,
coming from.
and like it was actually very eye opening too, because it was like, oh, okay, cool. So there's different things that like, so.
Yeah, just because somebody says like, no, this isn't in our marketing budget, that's not the end of every conversation.
And I've learned not just to ask for money.
Yeah.
Like if you literally come up to somebody and say, hey, pay me, it's not going to happen.
Why?
It's just not going to happen. What are you going to get?
Yeah, like why would I pay you?
Exactly. So like, okay. So like, for instance, like with Scumline, I was like, okay, cool. What am I going to do on this? How am I going to pitch this? All right. What if I give you 2 web videos? Because I know that you like marketing through your web videos on your own channel. So you get to market them, you get to push them. It goes on your
content,
your
basically.
analytics.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll get money. So really, I'm getting paid to do those videos. But in my head, it's going towards Scumline, because now that was the ultimate goal. And I'll film those movies while I'm filming Scumline. So like, there's a day in the life video that we did for Scumline, but that was actually slated for one of the companies that was in their package.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're just like, hey, give me money, I'm going to go spend it on this wakeboard movie. It's like, some companies are down, but some companies are not. So you got to figure out who's who,
You got to provide some value for some people too.
Yeah.
So
And some people are down. Don't get me wrong. Like some people are like, hey man, a name in the video, let's go. But some aren't.
And you just got to figure out those different lanes where you can, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And then after you interact with them once, you kind of figure that out. So when you go back the second, third time, you already know where their headspace is.
Yeah,
or you at least get to start out there,
Yeah, for sure. Ollie's also wondering favorite winch spot and least favorite winch spot, and why?
Ooh. Can I say they're both in the same one?
I mean, yeah, that does play.
I mean, dude. Okay, so my Ender and Scumline is 100% my favorite because it is the gnarliest thing that I've had to like get my mind to go over. Like
That's literally what I had written down about asking about that exactly.
Yeah, so that one was hard. I have kids, and so in my head, like it kind of changes a lot. Like the small spots or whatever, like low risk, or even if there's like a medium risk, you're kind of like whatever. But that specific spot was like there's the things that you can't see, right? Like but there was like a metal bar that went across the whole entire bottom underneath the water, right in your landing zone. So I knew about it because I went and checked the spot. It was pretty shallow, so you could walk it, and it was pretty clear water. So it was very easy to tell what was going on. And so we pretty much showed up to that spot, and in your head, you're already like, this is happening. Like I already drove 2.5 hours to come here, and there's no way I made a whole crew come out here and we're turning around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, but when we stepped on it, it was way bigger than what I thought, like way bigger.
Like the drops?
This whole scale.
Yeah.
The whole scale was much larger than it looks in photos or whatever. When you stand on the decks, it's a big spot. And the whole thing was made out of wood. The wood was kind of like soggy. You didn't know if you're going to go through it. And then it was like a lot of weird things. So like I'm at the top on my first pole being like, dude, is this worth it? Is this worth it? I got a kid. I don't want to get like jacked. Yes, no. I need an ender. This could be my ender. And so like, you're just like playing that. And then what's funny is I actually did the easy hit first in my head. I did like a 50-50. I was just going to 50-50. And that was the worst decision I ever made. My board sped up and it shot out. And so what it did was it went bop, bop, and my board shot out. And then I went straight to my butt, right to the metal bar. And I just jacked my tailbone. So like hit one, my butt's pretty smoked.
Yeah.
Trying to walk it off, I'm kind of hurt. I know it's like I already had to mentally go through this thing, and then it actually happened. So then you're like, oh my gosh, dude, this is so intense. But everybody's there, and you're like, if you just get this done, you're done with your ender. Like I already knew it was going to be, I showed up and I knew it was going to be my ender.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's take it back, run it back. And then, so then it was like a battle from there. So in that response, is it my favorite or what's my favorite? What's my worst?
Favorite, yeah.
It's my favorite because it was probably the hardest mental struggle I've ever gone through in my life, when you're like at the top asking yourself it's a good idea. And then as you're running in, you're just like freaking out. And then you have to go blank and just do it. And you couldn't see. So like how big it was, you couldn't see the first step until after you ollied. So like you have to figure out what your trajectory is going to be on your ollie, but you can't see the second step. So, and I went over a step into so it was like, you're pretty much rolling up and you're like, ollie. And you're like, I hope I land on the step, especially the first one. And the first time I spun it to 270, it worked out perfect, other than falling, but it worked out. So then it was like, okay, cool. This is the spot. I don't have to figure that out at least.
Yeah, I was curious on the mental battle on that one. I wasn't sure if you decided, like most spots, you usually kind of go 50-50 just to like...
I did that and I got
feel
smoked.
it out and you got smoked. So that was one of those times where it's like...
I actually had a different trick in my head.
Really?
I did. So in my Space Tapes edit, I went back... What did I do? I went back... Oh, man, did I go back 3? I think I went back 3 and then back 1 out. Okay. I think. But what I wanted to do on that other spot was back 2, land, and then figure out what I could do after that. But the goal was to... And then once I like did the 50-50 and saw how gnarly it was, I was like, I think front 2.7 will work.
Yeah, we don't need to pull a handle pass into this.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. We're going to stick with the front 2.
Front 2 is sick. Yeah, because I was just curious about landing sideways after... I mean... It's a huge drop, huge gap, a lot of space in between where you're taking off where you're landing.
I used Ty's. I don't think Ty was there. I'm pretty positive Ty was not there, but I used Ty's analogy on that one. But he told me like when he does the big stuff, he just goes limp. And so like I battled it forever. And the last one was like, dude, and I kept on like landing and it was like jolting me. And so the last one I was like, Jesus, noodle it out, man. Just like let your legs go noodle. And then I landed it. So it was just a little bit. I just needed some Thai inspiration.
Yeah, just got to noodle her up, dude.
Yeah, now you know the secret. If you want to land your big tricks, just noodle legs.
Yeah, dude, that's some good insight right there.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's time we do a segment called "Deserve Some Love" from Driftline. So we're talking about kind of the early stages of your career. I'm sure there's a lot of people that helped you along the way. And this is presented by Driftline. So Driftline makes wetsuit line board shorts that are super awesome for those spring and fall sessions, early mornings at the lake, or just when you want a little added protection to the family jewels there. I rock these guys. I'm a huge fan. If you're going to get a pair of board shorts, might as well get one, with some wetsuit liner in there you can use on the shoulder season. If you're interested, hit the link in the show notes and use the code GRAB15 to get 15% off your order. So Deserve Some Love. I mean, you listened to the podcast before, but it's about someone either could be a rider or someone that's helped you out along the way that maybe didn't get the love that they deserve. So is there anybody that sticking out to you?
Like who should have gotten some love but didn't?
Yeah, and it could be like a rider that maybe didn't get the sponsor support or just...
Man, that's a hard one to come off right off the top, huh?
Oh, yeah. Or it could be a coach. I mean, obviously you're talking about Mike. He's a big one, but it could be other ones back in the day.
I think Justin Fisher.
Okay.
Which is actually a funny one because back in the day when I was like trying to get good at rails, we kind of beefed a little bit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Well, I won a contest, probably shouldn't have won, but I won. And it was funny. But besides that, I feel like he was pretty ahead of the winching game. And he was doing some stuff. He like only winched pretty much. And he was like pioneering that on the West Coast. And then Shredtown came along and obviously did it incredibly and like took it to another level. But I think nobody really knows that Justin and Nick Valeri and all those guys actually like kind of was like on the forefront on the wakeboard side of it. Yeah. So I think, Justin Fisher would probably be a good one.
Yeah, love that one. I feel like I've seen clips of him winching like way back.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they're old clips, and like he was all about it. He wouldn't wakeboard behind the boat. It was like all winch, and I mean, like the standards of like Zeeching and this and that were like different, but I feel like a lot of his stuff was actually pretty teed up too. And not that he would have kept on going if he had more support or more love. I'm not sure about that, but just as far as like now in today's
almost
generation, I don't even know if anybody even know who Justin Fisher is. Like on the like all these kids coming up.
Love that, dude. Love that. So, okay, we're talking West Coast magazines. I want to talk about Union Wake Magazine, and because you said you were pretty involved in it. Yep. I just kind of want to run the people through what it was, who was involved, and kind of how it started.
Yeah, I mean, so. It was a magazine before I was involved. It was an Australian magazine only. So Al Sur, the movie that I was a part of like producing and stuff like that. And the whole concept was to pretty much make Al Sur and then take it and put it into an American union and use Al Sur to launch Union. And so it was actually really dope. I mean, the guy that was running it, Renee, I was like, had this, or I don't know if he was running it. He was going to finance it. Toby was insane. He's like the guy that was doing all the articles and design and stuff, and Chris O'Shea. And the idea was just bring it into the U.S. and hit it hard with like just like a very raw look to wakeboarding, and everything had to be I mean, Chris O'Shea is the editor, so like it was like, if it ain't proper, it ain't even touching. Like, you might as well not even put it in the Dropbox. And if you put it in the Dropbox, you might not open up your next Dropbox. You know what I mean? So like, you know, like let's be honest here. You know, his opinions on what wakeboarding should be were super high, which is super credible. You know, and but yeah, it was going to come to the U.S. We did go to the U.S. We did have we did have Alcer drop on Union. And it went really well. Seemed like they were taking off. And then they ran their first American cover, which was one of the sickest covers. But Randall was vestless, shirtless. And that ruffled the boat industry. And so that made it to where it was like a pretty big deal on advertising dollars, because a lot of them didn't like that. And then there was like a center page that wasn't too sought after in their eyes either. Yeah. And so, so it kind of like ran down the sponsor dollars, which ultimately made it to where they could put out less issues. So they promised 4 a year, and then they only put out like 1 or 2. And then the advertising dollars for the next one, because they didn't even hit their first goals, made it even harder. And so it just kind of made it to where it was like, it just didn't work out, which is a really big shame, to be honest. Cause like, I feel like if they had that, that would be our Thrasher, our Thrasher mag, like 100%. Like everybody did want to send their clips to Union. It was sick.
It was definitely sick. Yeah.
And the standards were super high, but the quality control was super high too. So it was like, if it wasn't anywhere close, it just wasn't on.
Yeah. So that way the people that are getting it, they know without, you don't even have to say, you just say Union. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a great,
100%
great video or great, mag.
Everything Union attached was like the quality at the top. And they were trying to make their own ads. So all the ads from all the companies matched the vibe of the magazine. I heard Cena kind of does that with the Copycats and her podcast. And I was like, oh yeah, that's makes sense. Cause you want it to all be cohesive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was super cool. I wish they were still around. I wish it was still a thing, because I feel like that's what we're lacking in our industry right now, is a hub of content. So
I totally agree. And Thrasher's a great kind of analogy there to bring it in for the skateboarders that are familiar with that. So you're talking about Alcer. So let's just talk about Alcer. I mean, I got you said that you got some stories, and I got one that I really want to hear about, and it's Volcano Lake. I guess, do I need to say more than that?
Oh, man. I mean, like, which Volcano Lake? I guess that's what
the fishing line situation.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one, okay. All right, yeah. So, man, we could do a whole pod. I could fill you up with 3 hours of conversation on just specific Alcer stories. I'm not even joking.
I guess preface it with what I mean. You did mention Alcer as a video, and where,
yeah. Okay, so Alcer in general is the first full length movie I did, and I actually denied the offer. Yeah. So when they actually called me, so Chad Lowe is the one kind of running the whole thing, because he was like the connect from Renee. Which is the guy that actually, financed and was there and like made the whole thing happen. Shout out. He's so sick. Chad hit me up. He's like, hey man, we're trying to do a video. Would you want to be a part of it? It's in Mexico, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't honestly have any intentions to going to Mexico. It just didn't like fancy me at all. It wasn't my thing, I guess. And so like, I was like, no, I'm good. Don't want to go. I'm chilling. I've watched the news.
We're all right.
And so anyways, denied it. And then Rodrigo was going to be a photographer, and then they never got another video guy. So Rod calls me a day before the actual first shoot. And he's like, hey man, I really feel like you should go. I'm going. I'm going to go. I'm like, are you sure you're going to go? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm like, fine. I'll go. Let's just go. And so I call up Renee. I was like, hey man, I don't know if it's too late, if you have another filmer, what the deal is, but I'm in. And he's like, oh, there's 1 ticket left, first class. You're on the way. I'm like, just good way to start out the trip. Didn't know where I was going. Never asked. Like he said, got my flight, but like I didn't research the towns. In the whole entire movie, I never researched the towns. I didn't really want to.
I was gonna say that might be a kind of
I just
head in the sand, ignorance is bliss type situation.
Yeah, and we did go to one place. Okay, never mind. I'll take that comment back. But pretty much I didn't know where I was going. I was on the flight, and then like right before I landed, I started like looking it up. and it was insane. It was called Bacalar, first spot. And it's that blue lake, super aqua blue. It's like see-through, no fish, unreal spot. And we show up, and I'm just tripping out. This is insane. And we end up having a killer shoot. Like straight up, it was so much fun. And it was the first time I ever ridden a G. Most people. It was like one of the first. He actually had one of the.
So what year is this? Probably
2012 or 13.
Okay, that's right when it came out. So yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones.
Okay.
Like he got one of. Yeah, it was cool, man, and it was no one ever ridden that. It was maxed out. It was before they had any of the limiters on the motors. You know, it was just like big time. It was like huge. It was when like all the shafts were blowing off the back of them. You know what I mean? Like no one had it figured out.
But the thing was meaty.
Dude. It was so, dude. The first time everybody rode it was like, oh my god. And obviously JD has ridden it, so he was just like ripping right out of the gate. But everybody else was like, give me a set to figure this out. This is unreal. Yeah. And so, anyways, yeah, it was the most mind-blowing trip I ever. Yeah. So, anyways, we round tabled. It was going to be a web video, and it pretty much was like, you want to do a full? And I was like, I mean, I had a blast. I had no girlfriend, my situation with my ex, like fiance at the time, but girlfriend or whatever, like was like, I didn't even want to be home. You know, like I was like, get me out of here type of situation. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, dude, let's do full length. This is sick. What are you thinking? He's like, yeah, 4 months. I'm like, let's go. So it was 4 months scattered out with like through the year or whatever, but it was like 4 months total. So it was just like, yep, we're doing it. And he's like, all right, cool. Pick your crew. Because we had the crew, but it was much smaller in the first trip. So if you look at the first video section, that's the original crew. And then it grew from that into what it is. But going back to your original question about the volcano, now that we set up the whole Al Sur movie thing. So we're in one of the trips, and I can't even exactly pronounce it correct. I want to say Tequistingo. I don't even know. Tequis is what we would call it for short. And the lake is legitimately in a fishbowl. So like we show up, and it's like seawalls, the whole thing, literally a bowl, and it's like the worst. I mean, unless you're like first off the dock, first in the morning, and you do all your tricks there and back, then it's great. It's class. But if you don't, it's a fishbowl. You're like not landing anything. So pretty much what happened was we were like there. Randall's trying to ride. Everybody's trying to ride, but Randall specifically is what really was driving this. I was like, I'm really trying to get shots of Randall, and he can't even do anything. Like we're going 30 miles an hour, and the boat's just like, like can't go. So I hit up Renee, and I'm like, dude, we got to figure this out. And he's like, hey, man, I'll go search. So he took a day while we did something else, and he went out and searched and found 2 lakes. And he comes back and he goes, hey, I got 2 lakes. I found 2. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, one of them is an absolute no. I was like, okay, so you didn't find one? He's like, it's just really cartel driven. I was like, yeah, let's not go there. He's like, the other one, not sure. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it could be cartel driven, but it could be like good. Can't tell. I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, no questions asked. Like, yeah, let's get out of here.
This fishbowl ain't working, dude.
Yeah, this is not going to work. So we're like, yep, let's go. Drove like an hour in the cars, like 2. We had an Axis and a G in Mexico, just with a bunch of like, white Americans just cruising. I'm like, man, talk about standing out.
It's just a layup right there for anyone, dude.
But yeah, we made it. We made it there. And we pull in, and it's straight up a fish town. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, shacks of like fishermen.
Yeah.
And the way that they fish there are lines that are stretched across the whole lake, and they must have baskets or hooks. I don't know exactly what they're doing. All I know is they had lines, but you couldn't see them. So like they had them like probably anchored at the ends, and then you just didn't know what they were or whatever. And so like, yeah, sure enough, we just dropped the boats in. It's a tiny little lake. It's probably like a 5-6 trick pass or something like that. Dropped the boats in, and we didn't know. There's no signs. Like, it's Mexico. It's pretty rural, and you just like, yeah, whatever. We got in, and we down the lake, line, just cut all their lines. And you're like, oh no, dude, I hope this didn't just piss off the locals, So anyways, we're like, okay, well, there's day 1. And we go to the hotel, which is on the lake, show up, and it's like the sickest 5-star resort you'd ever seen. 1 employee.
It's a classic Mexico situation.
Dude, the same guy that checked us in was the same guy that got our rooms ready. It was the same guy that was working the bar in the restaurant. one employee. And the thing was massive, tons of rooms.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, dude, this is kind of strange. But the rooms are nice. You know, you had a sick window with the lake view. You're like, dude, this is chilling. It also had a gondola. And the gondola was like, looked pretty nice, looked pretty good, but they said it didn't work. So I don't know. It was weird, dude. It was
It's just like a classic Mexico situation. Like, where's this money? And there's nobody here.
Exactly. So anyways, like, felt pretty safe still. I don't know. It was like whenever we were with Renee, it was like, oh, he's got our back. We're good. And so like we're just chilling. We stayed the night. The next morning, bring in the helicopter, like full blown, like no drone. We didn't even do drones in that movie. It was all heli. And brought the heli in, blah, 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 blah. And like all the locals are, doing their thing. And we're just like making noise now, going back and forth with this like huge boat and just like, doing our thing. And anyways, we go back for lunch, got some shots. Everybody's like pretty stoked. Randall had a good set. Chad rode. I rode. Or no, I didn't ride there actually because I was in the helicopter. Trying to think of who else even rode on that one. I have to go watch the movie. It's been a while. But so like, go back for lunch and we're eating, and I guess this like little Sea-Doo boat pulls up to the bar that's on the lake or whatever. And there was a communication with him and Renee. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden Renee's like, hey, I don't think the boat's working. I'm like, what do you mean the boat's not working? He's like, I don't know. We must have sucked something up. It's not working. And we went to the boat, started up. Hey, it's working. Let's go. Like it's fine. He's like, no, we got to go. We got to go. And it just got kind of like weird, dude. And so we're like, all right, I don't like this, man. We're supposed to be filming. Why are we leaving? The lake is sick. Anyways, we get in the car, we leave, and like, dude, a couple months later, Chad Lowe was like, yeah, dude, I was coaching this kid, and he's like knows some people within the cartel or something like that, and yeah, they had their eyes on you. You were like, it was good you guys left.
You cut it close.
Yeah, pretty much it was good you guys left.
Yeah.
Like, get out of there. You don't belong. So like that was like one of the, it was crazy, dude. There was like so many different times. I mean, that was the only like, it wasn't even scary at the time because I didn't even know what was going on. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I didn't know that was going on. I heard that story from Chad afterwards, but the way that if you look back and you're like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and you put it all together, you're like, huh, okay, actually maybe, we were, hey, right there, like, hey, I don't.
Yeah, and he's kind of speaking in code of like, yeah, the boat's broken. No, it's not. No, the boat is broken.
Oh, 100%. There was no arguing. We were kind of tiffing with each other. It was like, no, dude, like we got to film. And he was like, no. Yeah, so then we made it back to our, seawalled lake and finished it out there.
So there were other locations though while filming for Al Sur, right? Like besides,
tons. The whole thing was location based. So it wasn't individual sections. It was all location based. So like we went to, man, it was like some of the coolest things that we did. I mean, it was wild. We went to Tequis, we went to Acapulco, we went to Valle de Bravo, which was super random. We ran into Sean Watson in the middle of Mexico on a random day. He was just out on the lake. Yeah. Super weird.
What was he doing?
There must have been like I can't remember if it was a clinic or I don't know. He was just across the lake and we just saw this guy ripping. We went over there and it was Sean Watson. So random, dude. It was so weird. Like, yeah.
Come get a couple clippies, bud. Come on.
Dude, it was wild. It was funny, man.
That's sick. So, but it turned out to be, I mean, a great film, but kind of some close calls down there. You ever been back to Mexico?
No.
Well, actually, you did Cancun, right? For the Hyperlite, but.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was after. Yeah,
I just remembered that as I was saying it.
Yeah.
Different situation.
I was a little on edge, though. Ever since I've been to Mexico, and it wasn't like anything like actually happened. Well, there was one thing, but it was like not personal. It was like environmental related. Like I was in like a storm when the whole. So here's another. I told you I could go 3 hours on this.
This is good stuff.
Okay, so we went to this place called Acapulco, and it was like on the beach, and that's where we did all of our surf stuff. And the first time that we went, it was like a crazy. It was like the sickest conditions. It was like. We were out there surfing. Harf was riding. Rathy was riding. I think Eddie went to the second one. JD and myself. I want to say that might have been the crew. And we were out there and it was fun. And then all of a sudden the waves got like real big. One of the days, I think we were like third day in or something. By the way, filming in the ocean like that takes forever. So if you think you're going to go out there and get clips in like 2 days, like try leaving like 3 weeks open. Like no joke. It was like so hard. And I was with the dream team. I was like, dude, Harf spent so much time in the ocean doing stuff like that, like with like parks and everybody. So he had tons of practice and it was still so difficult, like so difficult. But yeah, all of a sudden the waves just started getting huge, and we were like, it was actually sick. We were ripping some like massive waves at the end. But then we got back and it was like hurricane coming in, tropical storm, blah, blah, blah. And so like we all booked tickets to leave that next morning, like 6 a.m. or the Florida crew did. And then Rod and I were like West Coast. So our flight was at 4 p.m. And so like the whole crew leaves, we all drive back over to the hotel or to the airport, drop the car, everything's chill. And I go to check in and, bags get in, everything gets in. We go blow all of our all of our money eating food at the restaurant or whatever. And then we go to our gate and Rod and I are sitting there, 4 p.m. rolls. Airplane comes in and you can see it all. All the passengers get out, come in. Right when the last person comes in, all flights canceled for 3 days.
Tropical storms here today. It's arriving. About 12:35. Airport runway actually flooded. Rod and I are left here. Danny, JD, and Aaron all got out. No flights out for the next, 3 days.
It's fucking garbage.
Made a zone. So this is our zone that we made. The staircase is fully underwater.
I think the water rose up like 2 feet overnight from like 1:30 or 2 in the morning till about 6. It seems like the rain's slowing down, but the water keeps rising. So, I don't know.
And we're like, oh crap. So what does that mean? And so we're like, okay, well, 3 days. We're not leaving here for 3 days. We don't have an Airbnb. What are we going to do? And so like Rod and I were like, screw it. Let's just go set up our board bags in the airport by a power plug, and we'll just watch movies for 3 days. And that was the plan. And then we started that. We made this like sick room because he had like so many flash boxes because he used to fly with all of his like flashes.
Yeah.
So we literally made a stack of all of his flashes and all the board bags and the bags. And we had like legit a room that we made in the airport. And then we put our board bags, our surf bags or whatever down. And we made like a bed with a sleeping bag and like took our clothes and it was like we had a full on thing going on. It was like, oh, this isn't going to be so bad.
Bad,
yeah. We got a restaurant. We got our beds. We're good. And then like about an hour into our first movie, all of a sudden this lady comes over like, hey, you guys got to move. And we're like in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, but Rod does. Thank God. My gosh, this whole thing would have been horrible. Even if it was just me, I probably would not be here today. Like dude, for real though. So anyways, like she's like, blah, 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 blah. And Rod's like, oh, we got to go. And I was like, what do you mean we got to go? He's like, got to go upstairs. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, the airport's sinking. I'm like, what do you mean the airport's sinking? That doesn't make any physical sense. And he's like, I don't know. They're saying that like water's coming in. And I'm like, what? And so like I get up all like kind of cash and I look over the counter, where you send all your like bags through the thing. All of a sudden, dude, like the scene from freaking Titanic, dude. When like all the water's coming through the door is coming through the baggage claim area or whatever it's called. Like I'm like, oh, Rod, we gotta go. And I'm like, I'm like, grab your bags, and we're like running stuff up the stairs. And I'm like, dude, now there's like 150 people in this like room that probably isn't bigger than like a house layout, right? And everybody's up there because the whole entire bottom's flooding over. Like it was insane. So like at this point, we're like, what do we do? Like we have no flight out for 3 days. There's 150 people in this tiny little space. Should we go buy water? Like, so we literally took all of our money and went to the vending machine and bought like 4 bottles of water, and we hit them because we didn't know what that was going to turn into.
Pandemonium here in a second. Yeah.
For real though. And so like, yeah, so then we were like, okay, like here we go. Like, and we like kind of didn't bring I didn't film any of it because we didn't know, like, we don't want to bring any of our stuff out. We just wanted to stay as low key as possible, So like, and we already have like 5 billion bags. Like, he's got a whole stack. We made a room out of our bags for Christ's sakes. And yeah, so anyways, we're like chilling there. And then all of a sudden, dude, something switched underneath. It got super dark. Like the lights went out. And then, like, I don't know if they would keep their fuel cells underneath the airport or whatever, but all of a sudden we all started like suffocating. Like no joke, straight up. And we all had to wear, like, me and Rod were like, we had our shirts, like we tied our shirts around our face just to like, and our eyes were like watering, like, cause they were just like, we were like pretty much suffocating. And so we would go down to all, like, for some reason, that culture, or maybe not all of them, but like for whatever reason in that room, nobody was like trying to cover their face or anything. They were all just like there was a bunch of families, and we were like, Rod would go up to him and be like, hey, like, and they're like, oh yeah. And like they would do that. And then like they wouldn't, so there's security still for whatever reason. They wouldn't let us pass checkpoint. And that's the problem because all the doors and ventilation was past the checkpoint, but they wouldn't open up anything. And so like Rod was getting pissed because he could talk. We knew what was going on. And anyways, like finally he kind of like almost pushed him out of the way and he saw all the employees in this room with this window open, but like they were like making all the civilians stay in this area. And so like it pretty much got into this whole like tiff. And finally like Rod was able to like, after probably an hour of debating and getting in arguments, like get them to open up the door, which was insane. And at that point, like I think somehow the internet worked. I don't know if it was through my phone or if I don't know how, but I was able to get on my Facebook and I was like getting in contact with my parents and I was like, hey, like we're in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And like, it got like to the point where like Nelson, I was getting in contact with Nelson and he's like, hey man, if we need to get a budget to get a helicopter in there to get you guys out, like, you know, just let me know. And we're like, I don't know. And it was the middle of the night. He's like, I could probably figure something out in the morning, like hang tight. And it was like, cause we didn't know, dude. We didn't know. There was like literally like probably 2.5 feet of water in the airport. Yeah. And then outside in the morning, started seeing stuff on Facebook. Crocodiles were in all the water. So like what happened was there's a lake or a river and the levee broke, which flooded the whole thing. And so all the crocodiles that were in there are now in our stuff. So there was videos popping up that we were watching, like crocodiles in the streets, like right where we were, dude. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. I am not.
As if it wasn't enough yet.
As if it wasn't enough yet. And there's no traveling out. So like that storm broke the bridge. Yeah. So there's no getting like everybody's stuck on this like island pretty much. And so like the only way out was flying. And so like we're like, yeah, it was insane. So like we made it over this vending machine and oh dude, it was insane. So we had no more money, right? And all the people there were very respectful of like following the rules. And that was like honestly, that was the true problem. Like if we would have like figured it out, we could have popped open some stuff and gotten some food and like figured it out. But anyways, everybody just kind of stayed put. And so Rod goes over to the vending machine, shakes it until a bag of chips. And dude, the amount of dirty looks that he got, oh my gosh, it was insane. And then we sat down and we literally did like, you get a chip, I get a chip. Cause we didn't know when we were going to eat next. Yeah. I swear, dude, it was crazy. Cause like we didn't know anybody there. Right. And so like our whole crew left, everybody. It was just me and Rod in this flooded airport with like 6 feet deep water everywhere else with crocodiles. I mean, like, dude, talk about like being stuck on an island.
Final destination type stuff, dude.
Right? So like we're like splitting it up and then, yeah, in the morning we could kind of see like, cause it was like light, because all the lights were out and stuff. In the morning we saw like a subway downstairs and the water was only up to the cabinets and there was still some stuff in like, you know, like the area. Yeah. And so we're like, dude, let's go down there and like, we'll go down there. So we walked into the water and straight up out of a movie, you know, when like the lights flicker and it's like, dude, straight up, same thing. We walked into the water and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get electrocuted. I don't know what's gonna happen. And we're like walking through it and it's like sounding creepy, dude. And we get all the food. There's so much alcohol down there too. And we like left it all because it was like all hard. That could you imagine, dude? Everybody just getting wasted. Would have been bad.
They might have started breaking some rules finally.
Well, they did. So when we went back up there, all of a sudden, like it was like they must have had a meeting when we were gone or something. And like, swear to you, like
gringos are gone.
We walked up and we like laid out all the food for everybody. So like we literally like found the table and like laid it all out so everybody can get some food. Yeah. And then like they must have been having a meeting because right when we were kind of like done laying it out, all of a sudden everybody started like trying to break open the gates, you know, like they have all those gates that go down in the airports. Everybody's like, trying to get into these things. And then the federales finally showed up and like, they all had like, it was just intense. It was intense. But long story short, Renee found us like, one of the, oh man, I can't remember his name. I want to say Xavier. I could be totally wrong though. But one of the kids that was in the movie in the credits, his dad had like a penthouse type of thing in one of the skyscraper areas. And so he was able to connect up with him. And then he was able to have his driver meet us outside. And so we pretty much had to like lug all of our equipment, our whole bedroom pretty much across this like crocodile infested water out to this car. And once we got to the penthouse, we were chilling. Yeah. Getting home was hard too, because the airports were just a mess, but we were safe. So
yeah, at least you had
But yeah, it was intense. And without Rod, don't know where I'd be.
I didn't realize it was going to get as bad as that just did. I mean, it was
pretty wild, dude. It was pretty wild. It was intense, dude. And like, I mean, yeah, there is lots of those stories. So Mexico was sick, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like it was really cool. But I think I ran my luck out. I don't know how much more I want to go there.
I mean, yeah, that's speaking of luck, I mean, Derek Cook did, before we move on from Mexico, he was talking about some hot air balloons in Mexico.
Oh, that was the same spot as the spot with the cartel, dude.
Oh, the same thing?
So in the fishbowl, there was another idea that we had. There was no drones, dude. It was like pre-drone, or maybe the first Phantom just came out.
Mega expensive and
probably expensive.
hard to
But I
drive.
hadn't driven it, and so like me getting it would have just been a pointless thing. And so Renee was like, he came up to me, he's like, "Hey man, got a really cool idea for a new shot." And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "I'm gonna rent you a hot air balloon." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, yeah, you're gonna film from the hot air balloon, and we're gonna tie it to a boat." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna work perfect." I'm like, "All right, cool, let's go." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have the pilot bring over the basket so you can check it out like tonight, and then tomorrow we'll go check it. We'll go out to the basket and get in there and go fly." So, anyways, he brings the basket over. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this looks cool. It's pretty small." I didn't realize how small those baskets, or at least that basket was small. Probably fit like 4 bodies, maybe 5 if you like squeezed in.
You're talking size of this table or even smaller than that?
Probably pretty close to this
say
table.
4 or
Maybe
5 people
maybe
tight in here.
Yeah, maybe this table for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, like he brings the thing over. I'm like, "This is actually gonna be sick, dude. I've never been in a hot air balloon." Like, right on. This is gonna be tight. I'm down. We're gonna get some bird eye view, dude. It's gonna be sick. And so like me and Rod in the morning, we wake up and we get in the car to go to this thing. And Rod, if you asked Rod this story, he would say the first sign was when we were driving, because the logo or the advertisement for the hot air balloon was on his front bumper, but he had it backwards so you could read it in your rear view mirror. And he said that was that was a dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway of what?
Just like, today might not go good.
See, to me, that's kind of smart. That's a smart move. You
Yeah.
put it backwards, right?
I mean, I guess,
Am I wrong?
but then you can't read it when it's parked. I don't know.
That's true. That's a good point. You can't win that way, though.
You can only read it if you're the driver in the car in front. Oh yeah. But anyways, we make our way over there. It was fun. It was like more funny than it was anything. But yeah, we get in the hot air balloon. It was a calm day. It was chilling. Had a rope. It was tied it to an A20. Smallest, lightest boat you could
Pick that unit right up out of the water.
Yeah, probably pick the lightest, smallest boat you could probably pick. But yeah, pick the A20. We put it on that, put the rope on 100 feet. Sounds long. Stretch 100 feet, not that long. And yeah, we set sail. And it was really quiet and kind of peaceful at first. And it was actually really cool. And we were just sitting there and just like, he's like dragging us out to the middle of the lake to meet up with the rest of the crew so they could start riding underneath us. And yeah, man, it seemed like it was going to go perfect. And we got out there and it was perfect at first. No one rode yet. The crew pulls up and they're like, "We're talking." Like, "Yeah, man, we're good to go whenever." And we're like, "Yeah, okay, cool. We'll get ready," and blah, blah, blah. And we're just kind of talking it out. I think the pilot was too interested in our conversation. He just kind of forgot a key part of hot air ballooning, and that's hot air. And straight up, like, yeah, we just start sinking like out of the air, right? And but he didn't realize it, right? He was like just super interested in. Rod and I are kind of like watching like their surroundings getting a little closer. And you got to remember, there's no trees. We're like in the middle of a lake, right?
So perception's probably tough.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just kind of like talking, and all of a sudden they're like getting a little closer, and we're like, "Hey, hey, hey." Hey, and the dude's like looking around, and he finally realizes, like, "Oh crap!" And he's like, dude, for a long one though, like a nice long snap of hot air, and we're like, "For sure that's gonna work, dude, for sure." Well, I don't know if you've been in a hot air balloon. That was my first take, so I didn't know. But there's a massive delay in response. So he blows that hot air, but we ain't going up, not yet. We're still going down. And fast. Going. And literally the hot air just kicks in right. We touch the water, dude. And like there was like these little 4 holes in the bottom. So like if it got rain, maybe it would just like drain out. Dude, I swear to you, the water, you know, like if you like put like something up to something, you can get a water to bubble, but it won't go in.
Yeah.
Did
like
it.
a surface tension or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did it. Literally bubbled. I watched it. I was like, "Oh my God, no way. Rod. And he was like, "Holy shit, dude, we were tripping. We didn't know if we should like bail. Like seriously, we didn't know what the deal was. We almost
We're
like
gonna
jumped.
keep going, thinking to tip over.
We just didn't know.
Yeah.
We were like, do we just jump or do like what's the deal? We have all of our equipment. You know, you don't want to just like dip out. And so we're like, okay, whatever, we're chilling. So all of a sudden we're like on this rise, up. And then, pretty much like maxed out. And it was so violent, dude. It was like, whoa, boom. And just like, we almost flew out of the basket, 100 feet up, like rope detached from the axis. And now we're just sailing, dude. We're sailing. And we're like, holy crap, no way. And like, we're tripping out. And like the whole mission was to get video. So like now instead of like safety, it turned into like, try to make this work. Like let it go down, let it go down. So like, we're like, don't put air in, like, and now we're trying to like get the rope, the 100-foot rope to get back to the water level. So that way the axis can grab it and retie it. Okay. So like the way that this lake is set up is it's a bowl, it's a circle, and there's a bunch of houses, but at the end of the thing, there's on top of the hill, so however high the hill is, there's a 200-foot bungee jumping tower. Like they must do bungee jumping there all of a sudden or whatever. But it's like full on tower, 200 feet up. And like it's taken us a while to get the rope back down to the water. And we're like, oh man. And so all of a sudden, like we try to get the rope and he misses it. And it's just like this, like, it feels like forever. It was probably pretty quick. But we were like kind of running out of that like safety net of like getting up over the tower of where we were, And so it was like, it was cool. Like, we got it worked out. Let's just say that we like got it tied up, but then when like the boat went taut, like it almost capsized the A20. It was a big mess. Like the wind had I forgot to say this, but the wind had picked up a little bit, not like howling yet or anything, but it was
affects
like,
a lot.
It affects a lot up there. Yeah. So, but anyway, we got it worked out. It was sketch. We definitely knew that there was a bungee jumping tower now, because we were very well aware that it was in line of sight, and we probably would have been like in the rafters hugging a big pole for sure. So anyways, we get it, we bring it back, he idles the boat back over, and we're like, dude, we're done, man. We're out. And he's like, and Renee's like, you're being lame. Like, come on, dude. Like, and me and Rod are like, then you because his wife was like a photographer, like, you put your wife up here then. And he was like, she would do it. And I was like, bull crap, dude. Like no way. This is so effed up. We're out of here. It was like worst case scenario. But anyways, we're like, fine. Oh, fine. We'll do it. And so like, anyways, we start getting ready again. Homeboy forgets to put the air in it, dude. like no, like, dude, no joke. We're like, yo, dude, come on. And this time he like, same thing, but like he was delayed even later. So like the thing goes like going down. And dude, this time the basket went all the way up to like water was like up to like mid thigh, dude. Like we had water lines on our thighs from the thing. We're holding our gear up in the basket. Like, like don't get wet. We didn't know if we were going to continue going down. We didn't know what the deal was. We were just like, oh my God, we're sinking in a hot air balloon. And what does that doesn't even make sense. And sure enough, what do? We go flying back into the sky. Rah! Like same thing, so violent. This time it stays attached to the boat, but it's like probably even more violent. Like it was so violent.
It didn't pop, yeah.
And we were like, we're done. Break us loose. We're out. This is so dumb. And he's like calling us names again. And we're like, screw you, dude. Like,
whatever, man. I don't care what you say. We're out.
Yeah. And then this time the wind had picked up even a little bit more. And so we're like, now like, yeah, it cuts us loose and we're flying, and like we pull the rope up. So it's a little less sketch because there was a bunch of houses. So like catching a tree or a house was like an actual potential. So I'm like pulling the rope up, and we're just glad. And finally, like, it's actually so peaceful up there, right? You finally get a break. We're like, I'm mentally drained, bro. I'm mentally drained. And anyways, we're like flying, it's peaceful. And then him and the pilot are kind of like talking in Spanish. And next thing you know, Rod's like, hey, Trev, you're going to need to hold on. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to need to hold on? He's like, we're going to crash. I was like, what do you mean we're going to crash? And he's like, the winds picked up. We're going too fast and we're going to crash. And I was like, oh my God. And so now I'm just like, what is going on? Like, so anyways, we're like flying and we're getting kind of close to the ground at this point. He's going to like crash landing us, which I guess a lot of the hot air balloons do crash landing because that's how they can land. But it was like way windier at this point than it should have been. And so like it was like actually going to be a crash landing. And so like we're going down and Rod's like, here we go. And like I straight up just like hug Rod. Like there's nothing to hold on to. Rod's got his hands around these like the wires that come down and I'm hugging on to Rod. And like, I don't know what the pilot's doing at this point. I didn't even honestly care because he
doesn't matter what he's doing.
I would like fly the plane, bro. And so like we're just like, and like we look up and we're like, fence, and like we were shooting straight into like one of those just like a fence, and we're like, and he's like, and gets us up over the fence, and then just like slingshot effect, just like hits the ground, boom, so hard, and then like dude, we're sliding like for so. Boom, slide. And for, I don't know what, I think he was trying to stand the balloon up. I don't know what he was doing, but he's like fills it with more air. And it just
picking up speed then.
Dude, he picked us up. He was like, whoa, boom. Second hit was so hard. And then we did a third hit and then we just dragged like a football field, dude. Like we're on our faces pretty much. Like Rod's like hanging upside down. I'm hanging upside down. Rod's over the top of me. He has his battery pack, just like flashes. Like, and we were like, there's like going across the ground, like, and then finally it comes to a stop and we're like, oh my God. And Rod's like hanging on, like he's on top of me, hanging on. His like stuff is on. He's like, dude, you got to get off. I'm going to drop all this on you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like dragging at it. I'm like kind of getting myself out of this basket. It's winded. I'm like, oh my gosh, Rod. And then Rod gets out and we're like hugging each other. And we're like, we're alive. And we look over and the pilot, and I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I'm like, Rod. And he's like, what? I'm like, the pilot peed himself. The pilot was scared. The pilot peed himself. We were in danger, dude. Like, oh my, dude.
This was legit danger.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. And then we finally like made it back to the house, and the Renee was like, so like, how was it? I was like, that was so dumb. Like the pilot pissed himself, and he's like, oh, it wasn't his first time peeing himself. And I'm like, oh my God, why were we up there? This wasn't his first time, dude. Like he has a track record of this. This is not chill. So then that's when we lead it back to this whole, the bumper, the way his advertising was, should have been the indicator that you shouldn't have got in the.
You got to listen to your gut on those ones.
Oh, so I don't care who asks me, I will not be getting into any hot air balloons. I think my hot air balloon days are done.
See, and you know, the hot air balloon situation, it sounded like at the beginning that could have worked if you had a dude with the bumper sticker who placed correctly and was just paying attention.
Or just ran the hot air.
Yeah.
That would be a good start.
I feel like that's step number one.
That's step number one is consistent, just to keep the line taut.
Hang us here, yeah.
Yeah, not the let me go down 75 feet and then go hit the hot air.
That's an unreal story. Mexico, I mean, you don't need to go back to Mexico because you did so much in Mexico.
The only thing I would go back to Mexico for is I was ever going to race the Baja 1000.
Okay, that's fair.
That would be the only reason. Other than that, no all-inclusive hotel will make me want to go back. I had a lot of good time in Cancun, Cocobongo, shout out, 5 days in a row, Bender. Yeah, we did that. Like, I had my time, did my thing. My time is done.
Was that for the team shoot a few years ago?
Oh, no, that was for Alcer too, yeah.
Oh, that was for Alcer as well? Okay.
Yeah, so on one of the trips, I told you 3 hours I could fill it up.
That's true.
One of the trips, we were getting from Vita Bravo back to Bacalar, and it was cheaper for Renee to fly us to Cancun to an all-inclusive than it was to fly us home and fly us back. So, of course, we all said absolutely. And he said, I'll see you in 5 days. Have fun. So we had fun for 5 days, and then we got a little private plane into Bacalar the next day, and it was pretty hard to wakeboard.
I wonder why. Poison yourself for 5 days.
I fell on an ollie 180, and I said, I think I'm going to go tomorrow. Tomorrow might be my day.
Let this whole hangover subside for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man! All right, that was a very informative session on Alcer. I love that. I expected nothing less, and I wasn't let down. That's beautiful. I love that.
That was good. Good times.
Now for a quick word about the Malibu rider experience. Ready to see how you stack up against other riders for a shot at a regional championship? Then it's time for you to compete in the Malibu Boats Rider Experience, featuring all WWA divisions for wakeboard, wake skate, foil, and wake surf. Join us in Florida, Illinois, and Colorado and find your truth on the water. Visit thewwa.com/rider experience to learn more and get signed up today. All right, we're diving back in. I want to kind of talk about the West Coast a little bit and style, because most, if not all, riders from the West Coast have a unique kind of specific style. The ones I'm thinking in my head right now, you know, Randall, Josh, Mike, like you, like a lot of people. So I'm kind of curious if there's any secrets to style or any, you know, maybe not tips. That's a weird way to say that, but like when I think of it, it's like I used to watch my favorite rider, snowboarder Tommy Gesby, over and over and over. Maybe even the same part.
Oh, your favorite, yours is Tommy? Yeah, he's sick.
This is not even close. It's not, like,
that's pretty
so
good.
Sick.
That's a good one.
But I feel like, and I'm not going to talk in my own style because I don't even know what it looks like really, but my goal was always to like absorb as much of the good style as I can and hope that it like seeps through my body as I ride.
Yeah. I think, man, if you're going to talk to anybody in the West Coast, I feel like there might be a little difference in everybody's questions. I don't think there's like a general rule of like where the West Coast style all thing originated. I would say that in the West Coast, there's seasons, and there's surfing, snowboarding, skateboarding, and all the guys typically, I kind of like dipped into a little bit of it, not like on a crazy level, but they all stood sideways on other things and had other outside influences. I can't really talk about, you know, what the Florida scene was because I wasn't a part of it back then. And there was just like heavy hitters out here. I would say is more like heavy hitting on the East Coast, which, I mean, like the best way that I can put it is the attention to detail at such an early age into wakeboarding, at such like a iconic period of wakeboarding when wakeboarding was becoming like a thing. You had a very separated, like, I'm working on style and that's like my vibe, or I'm going to go to Florida and go compete. And to do both of those seemed almost like they weren't going to work because like somebody that focuses on grabs is not going to be able to lay down the tricks consistently all the time.
Yeah.
There's obviously like exceptions. Like you look at Byerly and he competed and he's insane and he's one of the most steezy riders, you know, to come out of it. So like exceptions for sure. But I think the overall consumption of like where all that West Coast stuff came from, and all of us, what I took out of it is all the people before me had very acute attention to detail to the point where like I was talking to like Rich Facciano, which is like one of the OG Delta guys from way back in the day. And like, he is so methodical about where his hand was on the melon grab or whatever, you know, like whatever grab he's doing. And, I don't know if that really took place in Florida as much as it's like, you know, there's different names for grabs and you want to be in those zones. And I think it was more like get the grabs and go. And like I said, there's definitely people that were like crushing the game. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But as a whole, you can kind of generalize, you know?
So like going forward on that, I think, the West Coast is really unique because it's a small group of people and we stay together. We don't move to Florida. I don't know if you like noticed, but like most of us just like love what we're doing in California. We stay there and become a family, and there's no bad blood, right? There's no like clique. If you're in California, you are in the clique. Like at any point in time, you can call and say, "Hey, I'm coming over. I'm going to ride," and it's accepting, and you're here, and we're all riding.
Yeah.
And so the discussions that you have with each other, you know, I was with Schwenne, and he was like one of the grab like gods, you know, like he was like grabbing everything back in the day, way more like all these flips that a lot of people weren't even grabbing back in the day. He was grabbing them differently. And so like, that was my idol, right? Like he was the one that I rode with. Like he was like the one that took me in. He was the one that gave me like the big shot. Right. And so like he put in my head that grabs are critical, and before him was put into his head that grabs are critical, and the placement and where you're doing it and the attention to detail is like one of the most important things. So I think like that just trickles down from, we all ride together. So like, and if you don't do it, then you kind of almost get laughed at. Yeah. I mean, realistically, like we all love each other, but we were totally down to be like, dude, that was a crap grab, dude. Like that was not cool. Like, that ain't making the video. Like straight up, like with Dog Days, there was like a mad cut on tricks. Like it ain't grabbed in the right spot. It's just not in the video.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's just how it was. Or if it wasn't grabbed at all for the most part, like I think there was like maybe one trick in there that was ungrabbed, but I gave it a slide. Every single other like trick in there was grabbed, and it was going to be proper in between the feet or on the nose and tail, and no exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was just kind of like one of the standards with the West Coast, and I think it portrayed like really nicely. I think now if you look at like Florida and other places around like wherever, like a lot of people are very, you know, mindful of their grabs and where they're at and how they look. But I think that kind of all originated like back in the day with like Nelson and like Facciano and like all those guys. Like to me, that's where like that crazy acute attention to detail came from.
Yeah, and the evidence is kind of like on video too as well. It's not like that's like an idea. It's like you can kind of compare a lot of different sects of riding in different places, and like yeah, in Florida you can see that like they are getting the grabs, but you can it's obvious to a lot of people who watch like, well, yeah, you grabbed it, but like it was very obvious that it was very quick or you didn't go in the right spot.
And there's nothing wrong or right about both of them, because in my opinion, like the progression would have slowed down like crazy on the tricks in Florida if it was so mindful 100%. On the grabs, especially the wakes the size that it used to be, right? Like it was much harder to get like really great grabs on some of the things. Yeah. Where like you just had two separate things. Like a Melon 180 on the West Coast is like sick. You'll get the thorns. You know, you get a good method, heck yeah. You do a sick 360, dude. Trust me, I'm like, that was dope. And everybody in the boat will do that. I don't know if, I mean, maybe I don't spend too much time out here, but like I would imagine more of like a harder trick would get that respect in Florida. But if you're doing a set of, you know, melons and threes every single time you ride, that might go away. But it kind of doesn't. If you get a sick melon and your butt's on the board, trust me, you're getting the thorns.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, it's not even like Florida or California. Like there's always going to be the progression of skill technical tricks, and then there's going to be like the style progression.
I guess I don't mean Florida and California. I guess I mean just like the Mecca. Yeah. And like, cause like when I say Florida, I mean, there's like so many people from around the world, and there's like people that are like, I mean, dude, like there's so many people. Like it's hard to even categorize West Coast.
It's just too different.
Styley and this, cause if you look at like Australia and the amount of like insane, just raw skill out of there, and like O'Shea is like one of the sickest riders, and he definitely had acute attention to detail. Mm-hmm. So like, I think it's just like as an overall scope, like the amount of riders that come out of California or the West Coast of California, and then the amount of riders in Florida are much bigger. So it's a lot easier to see a smaller group of people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. So, but there are those two different kind of paths that people choose. It's like, you know, most people either kind of pick one or the other. They're like, I want to do the
and that's kind of why like one of my favorite riders is Josh. And it's so sick, and I know I talk about him all the time, but he's truly like not only like one of my best friends, but like he really is, in my opinion, like one of the sickest riders that there is on boat, like hands down. And it's because he was able to marry our West Coast to our Mecca, Florida, and like got the legitimately, when he was doing the Junior Pro Tour, I really feel like he was giving the West Coast the respect. Like he was the first one to get the respect doing the hard tricks like Crow Fives and this and that, and bringing that into solidifying that the West Coast can actually grab their board like and do the things that we say we can do, but then marry that with this like
tech side. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like he mended that gap. Like he's the one that actually brought that whole thing to the West Coast.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you were talking about, you know, the guys, you know, who do the style stuff really usually don't do that well in contests. I swear that Josh did pretty well in the PWT, like when he was riding. So it's like, he did do a great job of marrying those two. And
totally, 100%.
Awesome to see. So yeah, I don't think there's any secrets to good style, but I mean, it's kind of a lot of who you surround yourself with and what
I think it's paying attention to yourself.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like, I know when I do a bad grab and I know when I do a good grab.
And being honest with yourself.
And being honest, like, if you do a bad grab and you're filming and you don't fix that, that's on you. And guess what? Everybody knows that you just didn't grab your board good, and you put it out.
Yeah.
Especially today. I mean, like with social media, you control yourself. So like, unless somebody else filmed you and put it out, if you put it out yourself, that's on you. Like, I know when I grab my board good, and I know when I grab it bad. And I honestly don't even need to see video anymore. I can tell in my head on my body position. Now, is it the best one I've ever done? I'm going to need some video review, because like sometimes it like might feel just as good, but it been 2 years ago from the one that I did that I thought I did the best. But like when it comes to like just knowing if you did it proper or good, you know.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like if one finger's hanging over the nose, I can even feel that my finger's like a little looser here and these fingers are good. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Yeah. You know.
And
gotta
if
be honest
you
with
don't
yourself.
fix it, that's on you. That's on you 100%.
I totally agree. All right. So let's talk some more videos. So we covered Elser a little bit, as you said. I mean, I'm sure I'll have you back on at some point. We can dive into even more with a bunch of other videos, but moving on, we'll do, I'm curious actually your thoughts on the appearance of riders and their parts in a film. So let's say you have a full-length film with a traditional format of each rider has a part. Mm-hmm. How would you rank the location they appear in the film? So like first, second, third, fourth, fifth.
That's easy. First section is you were almost good enough to have last section. Last section's the ultimate, and the middle doesn't matter. It's just what the flow of the video goes.
There you go.
100%.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I was curious if you had any thoughts on the 2, 3, 4, the middle sections, but
no, yes, as an editor or as an observer, because it's two different things.
Both.
As an observer, I don't think I would care. I don't think, to me, as observing, I'm going to be like, oh, that person is better or worse, or did better or worse. As a creator, I feel like it's about when you edit a video, you're trying to bring people into a story, and you're painting them a picture, and you're giving them a rhythm, right? And so, say one rider wants a fast song, and one rider wants a slow song, and one rider wants this and that, and then you start laying it out. And if you go first song slow, second song slow, then how are you going to pull people in? It doesn't work. But if you go first song fast, then you want to slow the pace down, because you want to like really keep an up and down like roller coaster through the movie. And that's how you keep an attention span, right? Like if it's just like the sickest banger section that you saw, but it's 5 sections deep, even though it's the sickest sections ever, you're going to slowly fade away.
Yeah. Or
if it's just slow, you're going to turn it off. So it's like you're painting that picture. And so for me, like especially with Scumline, Scumline to me was like the biggest passion project I've ever done in my life. Like it's like 100%, like I gave it my everything, on all aspects. I went as hard as I could, with the situation of where I am in my life to make it the best possible thing for everybody else in the industry to enjoy for as long as possible. And the way that the sections went, well, I didn't do it by Hayden, you get that section. And pretty much how it was Ty, you're for sure getting last section. Everybody else, we'll figure out what your songs are like, and we'll paint a picture.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. I was always curious on, you've created a lot of video projects. I'm sure other people probably have similar thoughts to that, but I was just curious because in my head, it always goes like, if you have 5 sections, Ender obviously is number 1.
Yeah.
The second to that is obviously the first part, because it's the first thing that people see.
Yep.
And then after that, it's like, it just kind of, however it works out, it works out.
It's so hard. I mean, like I wouldn't put, okay, so I got to tread lightly on this because I don't want to say like bad sections and stuff like that. But there are going to be sections in every movie that somebody is going to put more effort into or less effort into, or just the raw skill might favor somebody else more than the other. And if you put a heavy section into a section that's just kind of lackadaisy, that's going to be hard. You got to hide that section in the middle. So it's kind of hard, man. Like it took me a while to figure out the layout for Scumline, just because of like, there's a lot of different dimensions that I was trying to hit and different topics and like weight and things. When we started it, I didn't really have a clear vision, and it got really hard to figure out how to make it all work. Cause it was like, we can dive into this a little later or whatever, but it was just like there's a lot of thought put in Scumline, let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll dive into Scumline a little bit, because I did want to talk about some other videos first. So I'm curious though, just because we were just talking about traditional video formats. Do you prefer these days as a consumer of videos to still watch that traditional video format, in the sense that parts and then probably a friend section in the middle, or a montage type section?
Depends. I'd rather go personal sections, because it gives you the ability to really hone in on your own craft, right? Like when you're in on your own section as an athlete and as a consumer, but you can kind of see it. But as an athlete, it gives you like the sense of pride in your own section. So you push pretty hard. When you have to share it, you're still like doing that. But like you're sharing it. So not saying you can lax out, but some other people might be able to carry the weight. But like, yeah, what was exactly the question?
Do you, as a consumer, when you're watching a video, and you might not have a preference, because I don't think I really have a preference. It's just kind of on a case by case basis.
I like the yeah. So like I don't know. I think I like the personal sections more, but you gotta have a storyline, or you gotta have some like lifestyle or something that keeps me going, because nowadays I can watch sections on YouTube and stuff. So like, if you're going to make a full video, you got to give me a reason to sit down and watch a full video. It's hard to just watch section, which is old school for sure. And it's like where we came from. But like for me, it's just so easy to watch one section on YouTube that like there should be something in there that creates like a sense of a movie, or you know what I mean? Like a reason to sit down for an hour. Yeah,
definitely. I agree with that. So I guess maybe my answer to that would be like, it doesn't really matter either way, but at least it's got to have that storytelling.
Yeah, like if you had like a personal section, but then in between each section there was like some raw footage of like whatever, then it gives me an insight on who you are as a person. Then right on, I'm in.
All right, we got a Patreon question from Campbell Scarborough.
Oh, I just spent a week with her.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Could have asked you in person then. And she might have. So she's asking, what makes a good video part, and what are some of your favorites? So we kind of touched on what makes a good video part, but you probably have more that.
I think there's a couple things. Diversity. I'm pretty big in I personally like the mashup of like winch, cable, and boat. Maybe lack the cable a little bit, just because I feel like nowadays it became very like snow park, skate park kind of vibe. But back in the day, it didn't. It kind of had that like whatever look to it. But now you could probably just go boat, winch, and do fine. But I like that. To me, that gives me like a scenery change, and it feels good. But I don't think you have to. Like I've definitely watched a lot of just straight boat sections that are insane. So like I don't want to pigeonhole that. I think no repeats is a big one.
It's a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you do repeat, it's got to be grab different, or like something about it needs to be like magically different. Like say you film the same trick twice, but one's just like the angle is just insane. And it's just like there's water blowing up and you did something crazy with the film. And then the other one, like you just grabbed the crap out of, and you're like, I have to have this one. The filmer's like, sorry, I'm using this one. And you're like, well, then you just got to use them both. Maybe you get a hall pass.
Very, very unique circumstance.
Yeah. Other than that, like figure it out. I think that's a high standard. And then music choice, big. That could probably make and break your section big time. And then quality. I think quality is like a big deal.
By quality, what do you mean? Video quality? Filming quality?
Yeah.
Quality of tricks? Or yes to all of that?
I mean, kind of yes to all of it, to be honest. Like, and the quality could be different, right? You could have a dad cam or a like a old school camera, and the way you edit makes sense to that camera, like you edit within that vibe or that look, and you do it well, and it's entertaining. But if you just like mash up a bunch of clips to a song, and just because the writing's sick, you get a hall pass, to me, that's just, you lost. Yeah, I mean, like, but that's me. I mean, I'm a creator like myself, like, right? So like I might be a little bit more harsh and judgmental, but like I'm sure we'll get into this, but I'm running some marketing stuff now, and there's going to be stuff that goes through and slips in the cracks because of just like whatever.
Feed the beast volume stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's high volume every day, but there is definitely going to be quality control. And if like, 100%, like I just feel like nowadays there's just no reason that you can't have high quality. If you don't have high quality, you're not working hard enough. Like,
that is such a great sentence right there.
I mean, it's just the truth though. Yeah. It's too easy. Your phone shoots 4K, which means you can bring it onto your computer, give it a small filter, make some whatever. You can get free After Effects, like effects that you can put in. Final Cut has all the name titles coming in all crazy. Like you just can use a drop-in practically. Like they made it so dang easy for everybody. So if you're just literally just like, if you can tell that you just didn't try, then you just didn't try. And to me, that just like, I just don't like it.
Reflects poorly on the person who did it, because it's like,
yeah, and it's like, and if you're not going for that, then fine, right? Like that's your thing.
yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
And like, and
yeah.
especially like, say you're not a pro, okay, totally fine. Like
do whatever the hell you
like,
want to do, man.
I like dirt biking. I want to post some stuff dirt biking, and if it's on my iPhone not edited, then sick, right on, like whatever. Like that's not my job.
Yeah.
But as a pro, I think like, if you can't figure out how to like make your stuff unique and cool and good and whatever, and you have to rely on like somebody that's like, I just feel like there's no excuse nowadays. Like it's too easy. It's like seriously too easy.
It is seriously too easy. And we're seeing the examples of that with riders who do a good job of that. Like,
yeah,
there are so many kids out there that are kids. I mean, people that out there that are like, they have it figured out and they're doing it. So it's like, take a page out of their book. Like,
like, I mean, this is like a random one, straight up random, but I think is doing a good job. Corey Tunison. Like, I don't think he's an editor. I don't think he's a filmer. But if you look at his page, his stuff looks pretty high quality comparative to some others.
Yeah. I'll throw a cable at Rivers Hedrick. I think she does an amazing job as well.
Yeah.
Like,
still
a young cat too. And like, obviously has some stuff figured out.
I mean, I'm throwing in like Corey because I just don't ever see him being a creative. I see him being as an athlete, straight up athlete. Like I don't see him trying to go home and like edit clips and make sure that his Instagram looks good. That's just the vibe that I get from him is I'm going to work my butt off to be the best that I can be and go do, Red Bull stuff and get in his cold tank and whatever, that's kind of like the mentality that I have with him, but yet he still figures it out.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought him up. Cause like, there's definitely creatives out there. Like, gosh, there's so many, like, especially in the cable scene, like that one's a little bit easier because I feel like they're already like, for some reason the cable scene seems to be the same as like the skateboarder that sees the whole world.
You kind
as
of think
piece
a
of art.
little differently.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when you drive down the street as a skateboarder, you're like, oh man, that stair set is an obstacle and so your mind's just always doing this. But as a boat rider, I feel like you're stuck in the lake. Nothing changes ever. You're typically doing the same thing. So your creative kind of gets pinholed into, this is the job that I'm doing. I'm going back and forth and I'm going to learn tricks. And it's a little different. We're like, so like, I guess that's why I'm bringing in the boat aspect, because I definitely know like the young gen cable scene has a bit more of the just creative mind.
I mean, another one on the boat, we were already talking about La Familia, but like obviously the stuff they're doing is getting out of that creative aspect of getting, bringing different things in and filming it in a high quality way. And
and it's sick. And honestly, as like a consumer, that's what we want to see.
It's what everyone wants to see. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
So yeah, for sure.
What are some of your favorite video parts or videos? I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
No, video parts. You said video parts.
Video parts.
Yeah. Some parts.
I want to say it's running with scissors. Shane Boniface section. I think it's in running with scissors, but when he was walking by the upside down courthouse or whatever's out here in Florida, raining and stuff, that one was always a huge standout for me. That one was like a big one. I used to love that video. Like New Age.
Yeah, hit us with the New Age one.
Yeah.
What you seen recently? Ish.
Man. Like obviously formats is like an easy one to say. Just because very well thought out, and I really like that. All the riders in it threw down. That's an easy one. Trying to think of some other ones. I mean, I definitely have like, I know most all the videos. I'm just trying to think of like the really heavy standout ones.
Yeah. Well, and this is also kind of leading to your point earlier about Union and the Thrasher comparison of like, I've seen all these parts just like you've seen all these parts.
Yeah.
But like, if there isn't a hub for me to see them at, it becomes.
Are you talking more full length? Or are you talking more just web video or just videos in general?
So I guess it's kind of
just so hard because it's like, it's like I'm thinking my mind goes straight to full length, but I guess like there's very few full lengths that are recent, so I guess that's why I'm pinholed on that.
Yeah, exactly. But there are a lot of parts that like have come out, just an individual person's part, but it's hard to remember back to them.
Yeah, totally. Big fan of Graham Burroughs. So all of his landlock, all that stuff. I think he's just, man, I've been with him for so long through all of his stuff, and just like, he's so freaking sick.
Is he stacking right now?
He's stacking.
Of course he's stacking. Let's go.
Oh, he's stacking, baby. I saw some clips.
Okay. All right. I knew he was, but I didn't know he was. But now I know he is. Love to hear that.
But hey, no time limit. No time limit. I'm not making. I mean, he's got no time limit. TM says no time limit.
He doesn't need time limit, dude.
Oh,
Just
no.
let Graham cook.
Yep.
That's all we need.
I just want a banger. So whenever that banger comes out, dog.
It will.
Yeah. Those ones were sick. I'm big. Yeah, those ones are tight.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the Valdosta videos, kind of any of them.
Coalition ones, yeah.
Yeah, to me, like they do some different stuff, which is always super cool.
Yeah.
Dairy is always blowing my mind.
Wizard.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, actually.
Crazy.
Every single time I watch him ride, I'm kind of like, I don't understand how he's like already 10 years ahead of everybody.
He is. He really is. That's the thing. It's insane.
It's crazy. And so that's pretty wild.
Those are all good.
All those
too.
sections are cool, and you can tell they they try.
Good songs.
I do wish they had got out a longer lens sometimes, though.
What you mean by that?
Like maybe a little less fisheye and a little bit more like long lens tripod across, because like, man, some of the dynamic that you can get and like the scale of some stuff, I think could be like even deeper, because I really like their sections. But I think with like an additional like look, like a new look, could be like
add a whole nother element.
Well, I think it would just be out of left field, because they have a look, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's a bad look. I actually really enjoy it, and I think I like the up and cuts stuff. I think it's pretty sick. But the long lens, I found like I made a video, a black and white cable edit with Josh and Hayden a few years ago, and we shot the whole thing across. My goal, well, not the whole thing. There's definitely some up and close, but my goal was to shoot across the cable the whole time, because I don't even know. I wish I could give credit to somebody, but I saw somebody do it at ODub, and it made ODub look different. They shot like 400 mil across the cable, punched in, and it just like, it changed the way the whole cable park looked to me. And so like I did that with that edit for at Velocity, and in my head I was like, it was kind of a weird concept, like you're standing on the dock shooting the back left corner rail, it's kind of weird. But it was sick. And I think like they would blow. I think if they added some of that stuff in there, they could create something totally different than they already have.
Yeah.
Because what volume are they on?
Oh, I think he's working on 11.
Exactly.
For sure, yeah.
Hit him with something different.
Yeah, maybe he did, dude. Who knows?
Maybe he did.
Maybe next time.
I did see some that bowling ball clip that looks like it hurt. That looks pretty wild.
Yep, that does look painful.
Yeah. But yeah, they always put out good stuff. That was cool.
Those are good answers.
All the Shred Town stuff obviously is insane. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's like so much. There's so much content out there. It's hard to like even wrap your head around.
I mean, that was all great, good stuff there. So thanks for that, Campbell. That was a good question. I wonder, maybe she's stacking. Who knows? We'll see. Let's do dog days. So before we talk about you did want to mention how much Dog Days meant to you and the idea of the movie and everything. So maybe kind of run through that before I dive into some,
so Dog Days was a very interesting one because of the time that it was filmed. If you look at everybody's career and where they were at, it was go time or no time, straight up. Like, you look at, man, this is like actually heartbreaking to even talk about it, to be honest, because it's like everybody that I filmed in that video is pretty much done wakeboarding. It's pretty wild, actually, to still be in the scene and still be here. And you look at a video that you produced with all your friends, and like nobody's riding. You have Jacob Valdez done, Randall Harris done, Mike Schwenne pretty much done, Derek Cook, he shreds.
Nah, he's still at it,
but I would say he's like focused on it.
Sure.
Okay, so he's like, I would say half toe in, half toe out type of situation. Josh, we're still riding, so we're good. Austin Polterock done. Ty Hyam, crushing life, obviously. But Melissa Marquette, done. Keaton Bobley, done. Well, actually, I just saw him launch a board, so maybe he's back. I think he just
breaking news. Keaton Bobley back? Maybe.
I think I just saw a board with his name on it for this next year, so maybe.
Really? Yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah, maybe he's back. Maybe he never left.
We'd love to hear that. Yeah.
I know he like films a couple shots every year, but I didn't know he was like back. So maybe he is back.
All right.
But
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, so, and Kaysen, like, done. And so, like, yeah, I mean, like, you just, like, look at the whole grand scheme of things, and you're like, oh, man, okay. So if you take a step back, you can kind of see the writing on the walls with some of the people, Like, Jacob already had a job. Like, the writing was on the wall. So it was like, hey, guys, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it now. And we are going to document where the West Coast is at this point in time with these riders, or we'll never get this again. This opportunity is today or never. And so, yeah, like pretty much like called everybody up. Everybody was in, launched the date, and it was go time, and we all filmed. And then, yeah, pretty much after that, I think that was like the last, I think I filmed Randall's last set at that time. He came back for Scumline. Shout out.
You back a little bit.
He's not back, but
he was back. I mean, he's gone again.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, so that was cool to be a part of some of the guys.
Kind of
exits.
farewell in a sense, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of, it felt like that. It definitely felt like everybody was like putting their last hurrah stamp on like where their stuff was, you know? So yeah, that was a heavy torch to carry, I guess, you know? And that whole video was a contribution to the West Coast. Like the ending credits was like a throwback to all the old school West Coast and where we came from and then where we're at now in the generation where, you know, it was like a time capsule of what the West Coast has done and accomplished, I feel like, and it just needed to happen. So it was like a big passion project that just felt like it was like the right time.
When was the last time you say you watched that movie?
Dog Days?
Yeah.
Probably been a while for Dog Days. Maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe.
I wanted to dive into some Dog Days trivia, and we're getting real
tricky with it.
Specific.
All right, let's go. Yeah, I mean, I did watch that movie a lot.
Yeah.
The amount of hours that go into these videos is pretty unreal.
Can only imagine, yeah. So, first one, Mike, you say his name Schwenne?
Well, let's get into this really quick. It was Schwenne forever. And then when he got married, he decided to go back to the roots of Schwenne. And that one was really hard for me to swallow. So he's Schwenne, but I'll always call him Schwenne.
Okay.
To his face.
All right. Fair enough. All right, Mike Schwenne, Schwenne.
But if everybody else could call him Schwenne, he'd probably appreciate that.
Mike Schwenne. What was the last clip in his part?
Ooh. Okay, hang on.
Great part, by the way, for everyone.
Really good part.
Give it a watch.
Yeah.
The whole movie, obviously, too. But
okay, so he had a sick song too.
So good.
Yeah, he had a good one. Gosh, I don't think he did the wave stuff last. Did he do the wave stuff last? Oh my gosh. At least I don't feel as bad missing the other trivia on the other movies when I can't even answer my own questions here.
That's true. Let's just say it's not necessarily a trick. Because I did say clip. So I don't know if that helps or not. I mean, yeah.
Oh, man, what did he end with? I'm trying to think of, okay, so all I have to do is figure out whose section was next, and I could pair the two together. Because, it was for sure, it's got to be through the marshlands.
Yep.
Yeah, that was so sick.
Carving through the marshlands.
Yeah. That was exactly what it is. And that was cool. So the waves that we were doing before, like the wave clips that he got, we actually got kicked out of that, but we made a whole 4-day trip out of it. And it was I think second day we got kicked out. The people that run the pier or the Coast Guards, or I don't even know what they were. I think they were like park rangers or something. They came in. There's nobody on the beach, but apparently our line in the water was a hazard to other people, which was a little kind of hard to swallow that pill, but we did, and we moved on, got a couple shots, and then we kept making our way down south. And I used to camp at this place called Morro Bay, where I believe like Daniel Dowd and Shelby, well, I guess Dowd now, Shelby Dowd. I think they live in Morro Bay, but we made ourselves down there. I used to camp as a kid all the time, and there's these marshlands. And I was like, dude, I think I got a spot. And he's like, you think so? And I was like, man, I don't know, but I feel like it'd be worth checking it out. It's like an hour and a half away maybe from where we were. I was like, I feel like we should check it out. There's a campsite right next to it. We can go camp, and then we can hit that spot. And then we got there, and it was like, yep, this is going to work. And it was like perfect for Schwenne because he's all about, like he legitimately told me like he wants, I can't remember the specific amount. You could probably count them because he had them all in there, but he's like, I want 10 different slashes in his part. Like his whole thing was like,
he's got some mean ones on the wake, dude.
Yeah, he's so sick. He's so sick. But he was like, I want 10 slashes and different ones. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, dude, I think this would be perfect for your section. So I was like, let's go. We'll check it out. And yeah, sure enough, we got out there and got to the marshlands, and it was so sick. Yeah, it was cool.
It's a great last clip there. I got another one. Randall. We're talking about Randall. What does Randall say to the camera just before the start of the friends section?
In dog days?
Yes.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. That's when we're closing up the van, and he's like, "Give me the effing keys."
I think he says, "Well, open the fucking van."
Yeah, that's what he.
Fuck.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was something like that. It was That one was funny. So that one wasn't the flip day. It was his 180 day that he did down that big old gap, which is like actually kind of one of the monumental spots for wakeboarding in the West Coast. Like Kyle Murphy did it, Melissa did it, got a cover. So like that spot's like, I think a wake skater did it too. I can't remember.
That is heavy.
Man, I wish I remembered. Tag me, send me the clip if you have it. I want to see it.
Please do, yeah.
I feel like a wake skater did that. But we went there, big old Mel 180, long day. And then, Austin was just like bringing the thing up, and we were totally giving him the Grom treatment. Like, you're carrying this winch. It had a flat tire and everything too. It just was not easy to carry it. And he took it so well. It was great.
Yeah, it was a funny little sequence leading up to that too. Where he's carrying it up there with a flat tire. I think he's carrying it up, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait till I have Groms one day to do this for me."
It was like one of the most iconic. Dude, he's so He was sick.
Speaking of Randall, what is his opening trick in his part?
Opening trick in Randall's part.
Yep. It's to the flats.
So
if that helps.
Would it be like him walking with his dog?
Opening trick. I meant to say that. But yes, you would be correct. He was walking with his dog.
Oh man. Okay. Opening clip in Randall's section.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what his song was really quick, and then that would help me put together the look. Man, it's crazy. I should have the amount of times that I've seen this movie. It should be on replay in my head.
Well, you're 2 for 2 so far, pretty much. I mean, you kind of walk yourself into this one. It seems like what you've been doing earlier.
Yep. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so sweat.
He grabs it.
I feel like it. I don't want to say it's the method, because I feel like I wanted to put that. That's a middle trick. That's a middle of the video trick. It's
not not a method.
Man, I don't know. Oh. Yep, I do know. Wrapped heel 7.
Tail grab, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. See, you walked yourself into it. I
had to get the music right. It's so weird. Like when you see, and that's how I was when a kid with all these movies, dude. Like, dude, I could recite any trick at any given point if I heard the song. Like I could be like all those old school movies, like Metronome, Running with Scissors, Boombox. Shafted. At one point, I probably could not even do that now. But at one point, you could stop me in the middle of any song and say, "What trick?" And I'd be like, "Danny Harv, blah, blah, blah." And it was like,
you're just so locked in, dude, when you watch it over and over and over.
I was so immersed into wakeboarding when I was young.
All right, let's talk Scumline. We were talking about it a little bit, but...
Oh, wait, hang on. Stop. Oh.
All right. Rifling through some stuff down here. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, it's he's digging. Digging.
This is for you, dog.
Oh, man.
Let me slide this your way.
Slide that over. So for the listeners, this is the collection. Yeah. I also heard Dog Days and Scumline.
Yeah.
I was just saying that
we're live. We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
By the time this comes out,
we got 2 of them.
Well, yeah, because we'll come back to that. But right now,
okay. That shelf is
can't cover up the debut either.
Yeah, it's pretty. You can cover up quiet, please. You were in that one. You have the right to do that.
We'll half it. We'll half both of them. Watch the whole shelf drop.
It really, yeah.
It could happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
You don't have good anchors in there?
Nope. No, I don't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, video's out now. So if you're looking for the DVD, because you guys have your DVD players still, I got you. But on the actual real Al Sur, you can't find anywhere. And if you do want Al Sur, there's a DVD now. It's going to be on scumlinewake.com.
Oh, this sounds like breaking news. If it's So what is this?
Live.
What is scumlinewake.com?
Well, it's where you're going to buy the DVD.
Is there anything else on scumlinewake.com?
Soon there will be shirts.
So we got some shirts too.
Well, that's as far as it's going.
Can you get all 3 on there? or just Alcer, or the collection?
The whole thing. No. You have to buy the whole thing.
This, okay, that's what it does.
Yeah. You buy the collection.
I thought you said you can get.
Yeah,
Alcer
open it up. It's kind of cool.
Okay,
I dare you. It's sick.
Oh, don't dare me.
No. So each
pen all over it.
because like when all these videos came out, I never made DVDs, so there was no cover art for anything or whatever. So I pretty much made DVD cover art for each DVD. Made it real nice.
So this collection is available now.
By the time it's it's.
Whoa.
Oh, it sings, dude.
Yeah, it sings.
Yeah, and then so if you take the DVD out,
and you get the cover art.
The cover art that would have been in the covers are now on the boxes.
Yeah, you can't find Alcer anywhere.
Nope.
You can find like clips and the trailer.
Yep. And funny story about it too is Alcer, when I sent in the batch for the 200 DVDs, I sent in the master of the video that I originally wanted. So the music is more of an editor's cut than it is the video that you've seen online.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, 2 songs are different. The original, what I wanted it to be. So I'm trying to decide, do I make the next batch back to the orig, or do I keep it at the editor's cut?
I don't know. That's kind of
it
could be cool either way.
Yeah, it could be.
So
yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm gonna have to like mark on the back of the cellophane if I don't sell out through all of them yet, and be like, editor's cut, original cut.
In 50 years, that'll be worth a lot on eBay.
Maybe.
Well, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
I'm
yours.
very excited to get myself a DVD player.
Yeah.
And watch these DVDs.
And if you don't, it'll make great wall art.
It already does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's perfect.
All right. So Scumline.
Yep.
We're going into it.
Oh.
This is a recent movie, and I think it needs to be talked about that in this day and age, full-length films, especially full-length films with financial backing and like a huge cast of crew members, I guess you could say, like all the legitimate riders, like it's just not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see it in other industries, skate, snow, and surf and stuff but it's not like what it was.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not like that in wakeboarding right now.
Yeah.
So why make this?
Yeah, man, if I'm going to be completely frank, if I'm going to be super frank, I didn't know how much more wakeboarding I had in me. And I told myself as a goal when I started Alcer that I was going to make a 3-pack. So I'm not done. I'm not saying I'm done today. I'm not saying I'm done tomorrow, but these videos take a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice from my family. Like my wife sacrifices a lot. My kids don't get to see me nearly that much. I travel a ton, and so to make these videos is a lot. And so it was kind of at this point where I was like, I don't know, we're coming on to my second child here, or we wanted 2 kids. And so coming on to the second kid, and like, how much longer am I going to be able to like, not only just go on these trips that like Hyperlite puts on or something. Those are easy, right? You show up, you film, you go home. But this is like, you're embarking on not only filming your own section, but you're filming and responsible for your other teammates at this point. And then you got to market it. You got to make it, produce it, send it, do the whole premiere. I mean, it's like a big commitment. So for me, Scumline was I had made goals in my whole entire wakeboard career, like checklist that I needed to fulfill to pretty much complete what I wanted to be good at. And that was like one of the last big check marks on the list was 3 DVDs. So that's kind of where the idea was coming from. That was pretty much where it started.
Wrap it up, kind of.
Yeah, it was just like, all right, we're going to do 3. It's always been 3. When are we doing the 3rd?
Wrap it up with Scumline.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm never going to make another one.
Yeah. I'm
just saying in my life right now, it's hectic. I got tiny little kids, and it's like not the same as it was at all when I didn't have any kids. It's until you have kids, you won't understand. If you have kids and you're listening, you 100% understand. And I'm in a situation where my kids are both very, very young. So I'm in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I'm not young. Like I in my wakeboarding career, I'm 34 years old. So by the time my youngest, that's 1.5, is at an age that I can send him to like daycare, or not daycare, but school, and he's like self-sufficient. I mean, I'm looking at another 3-4 years. And so like who's around to watch the kids full time and all, you know what I mean? Like, so you're making some like life decisions. So like, I felt like it was just a good time to, make sure I get one out before I can't get one out.
Yeah. Being proactive about
Being proactive.
So you talked about getting support for movies earlier, and I'm curious because like I'm saying, this day and age, it's not really a thing.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason for that is because there really isn't a whole lot of financial support for it.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned getting creative earlier. So in this day and age when it seems like social media is everybody's goal, like the goal is to just get as much social shit as possible. How did you find some support for Scumline? I mean, you did talk about it earlier a little bit, but
the one thing I had in my side is the fact that I already had 2 videos that have been very successful. So I do have to kind of put that in there because like if a random person comes to you with no portfolio and says, I want to make a full length, but I have these great riders, but I've never really seen you do something like substantial. Like obviously you're,
big risk.
I mean, like, dude, when you have other people's money in your bank, it is intimidating because it's in my personal bank. And if I don't figure out how to make it work, who's that coming back on? Right? Like it doesn't come back on the athletes that are in the video. It comes back on the guy that has the money in the bank making the video and putting it all back out. So, I think to your point, luckily I had already had 2 videos, so people knew that I could produce. I hit timelines. I wasn't late, and both videos did well. I mean, like, I feel like how Sir was received very well. I don't think it was I think it was great. And then Dog Days won an award, which made it even easier because then you're like, yeah, award-winning video, easy. And so then you walk into the third one, and you already have a resume of like not only web edits and social media and this and that, but you also have like 2 full lengths that have done well. Yeah. So that helped. And then, getting creative and just giving more than you think do I want to go out and like make extra edits and extra content for a company when I'm already busy as can be, like trying to put all my energy into the actual video? No, but you got to get creative. You got to give them a reason to give you some extra finances, or it doesn't make sense for the company at this point because they don't know if your video is going to get 1,000 views or 10,000 views, And on those 10,000 views, are they all just core riders that are already getting hooked up, or are they like legitimately people that want to go wakeboard and buy wakeboards? So like, it's like some heavy weighing stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like getting creative is a big one. And luckily all the companies that I sought after for Scumline, a lot of them are my own sponsors. So like MB Boats, he's been pretty supportive. Not even pretty. He's been really supportive to the point where he allowed myself and Mike Schwenne to design our boat that we have now. Like straight up, 100%. Like we went and shaped the boat with Mike Brindell 5 times, like back and forth. We'd go out, he'd have a shape, we'd go out and ride it and be like, he'd shim it, do a bunch of stuff. We'd go back out and it's a little better, shim it. Third time we said, nope, the whole thing's a scrapped restart. He did. He went out, restarted completely from scratch. Took so long, came back. We're like, we're close, did some things, came back. Yeah, it was like, and that was all on Schwenne and myself going out, and like, he really allowed us to do that. So like for him, he was like pumped to be a part of it, wanted to help. Hyperlite's been in my corner this whole time. So like that was pretty easy to go to Nelson and just be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is my vision. But he definitely wanted things in return, right? He's got his agenda as well on the Hyperlite side. So, but we work together well and we talk really well. And then, some of the other sponsors, like Hayden, got his boutique winery involved, which is really cool. And we even brought that winery into the video. His intro and stuff is so sick. And so like that's at his grandfather's winery that has no business giving us money for like a wakeboarding thing, but they love boats and they love wakeboarding, and it worked out really well. We do this like rail contest at his
I've seen that
winery every year. Yeah, it's funny. It's hilarious because it's at a winery. It's like not even the right scene, but
opposite kind of scene.
But we're doing it and they love it, so it's cool. And then, I think I definitely got some stuff from like Ronix for Ty, and Ty's blowing up, and the support that Ty gets is awesome. So it was just like everybody that is sponsoring that video is very supportive on like what my vision was.
Yeah, the vision and the goal of
But I tell you what, I come up with even though I could probably call those and just have a conversation with them, I come up with like a full on portfolio or like I do the whole thing. I like, don't just ask, I send them like a full on, rendering of what the vision, what it looks like, when the timeline is, what I'm expecting. It's not just like, hey man, send over a check and I'll get you a video in 2 years. It's not quite how it works.
Okay, so before I'm curious to talk about, you are now the marketing manager at Hyperlite, right? So, but before we talk about that, I want to talk about Randall a little bit. So he had some clips in Scumline.
Yes.
Good amount of clips. I mean,
it
was, and I guess any clips is good enough.
I mean, you look at the clips that he had and you wouldn't even know he left wakeboarding.
Yeah. So,
which wasn't his first time, but man, like his life has changed quite a bit. And, like he did it. He came back.
Yeah. Yeah, with a vengeance. So, I mean, I'd like to hear obviously all of Randall's takes on a whole separate thing, but what was it like getting him back? Had he been wakeboarding a little bit or had he been completely out of it?
Yes.
So we're talking sets he's coming on to film like.
No, I mean, they weren't dry. Well,
I mean, not dry sets, but like.
So like, for instance, we picked him up on MB boats for a year.
Yeah.
He had some plans to do some like wakeboard camps and stuff like that, and just made sense to have him on MB as well. So, I mean, we had this insane, we have this really, if you haven't ridden our boat, it's insane. It's like the specific 24 Tomcat is designed that's the boat that we had.
The one you guys had the hand in helping out with.
Yes. Okay. So if you're a wakeboarder, it's like tailored for wakeboarding, and it's like out of the box, stupid massive. Like you could if you're at a shorter line, like let's say 70 feet, you could pretty much run stock ballast and you can do all your tricks 100%. Like Josh does most of his sets like that right now because gas is like $7 a gallon in California right now. So it's like, we're like, maybe just go stock weight, and it's like, we get it done. So yeah, but anyways, that boat was kind of like coming out. Randall, we were like, dude, I want to get you on this boat. Yada, yada, yada. And he pretty much was like, yep, let's go. He rode twice before that in the span of 3 years. So he got on the board 2 times in 3 years, came out and filmed at the MB shoot at Bullard Lakes. It's the boat that was green. And he had like the white button up collared shirt. And I think that's most of the clips were the white collared shirts. And just slayed it. The huge back 180. When Randall rides pre going away, everybody stands up and watch. You don't make a noise. If it's his first set back in 3 years, you don't blink, dude. You don't blink. It's one of the most nerve-wracking times filming him because you miss a shot, you missed a shot. I mean, like it's and everything's scaled up. It's fast. The wind's pushing your camera way different than you're used to. It's like boat porpoises as the chase boat porpoises a little bit more than it normally does. Like it's like, okay, I missed it. Okay, Josh, did you? Because Josh is dual filming. And like, did you get that? And I'm like, oh, it's just like it's like, and then everybody's just tripping the whole time. Oh my, like. I got to imagine it's close to what Ulf is doing right now, or Dean Smith did, and like you just watch them and they're just doing something different than everybody else, and you're just like, oh my god, like the whole time. But yeah, I mean, like what Randall, So, anyways, he pretty much rode 2 times, and then the third set was that set, and then he waited a whole year, and we rode again on the set where there's like a heli, and he does like the line back and forth at Lake McClure. So that was his 4th set. And then he didn't ride again until the Delta, which was his 5th set. So he did 2 sets in the Delta. So he rode 6 times. And then after that, I wanted him to come back out, but he said that he was like feeling pretty rusty and he didn't want to he knew he maxed out what he could do at that point. So he was like, I'm good. So yeah.
Wild. I was going to ask what it was like filming with him, but you kind of ran through it there. So,
I mean, filming him is one thing, but just honestly sitting in the boat and watching him ride is like one of the coolest things because it's totally different. Like I just said, right? You're going fast. The wind in the boat is just insane. You're practically like water skiing, but with a massive wake.
Yeah.
Like full. And because it's a massive wake, the engine is just full tilt, dude. Just screaming, dude. Like, and so it's crazy because like he'll edge out, and like when he edges out, his rope's so long, so the pendulum is so long, so he'll edge out. And as a driver, you're driving, and all you do is you look right here, and he's right there. You don't have to turn around whatsoever. You go from here, mirror, here. That's how you watch him ride if you're driving. It's crazy. It's one of the most, like, I wish everybody had a chance to watch him ride in person because his video just doesn't do it justice. But, I mean, obviously that's not going to ever happen. And whoever got to see him ride in person is lucky. And it's just, he's so sick.
So sick. So how did you call? Did you just call him up and say, "Hey, I'm filming another video. You want to?"
I mean, I filmed him in Al Sur. I filmed him in Dog Days. I filmed him a ton on our early Axis road trip days, like right in the very, very, very beginning of all that stuff. And then he would come out to the Delta and we'd shoot. So like my relationship with Randall was pretty tight. And so I didn't beg him. I didn't like whatever. All I did was said, "Hey, have an opportunity. I'm doing another video. You don't have to ride. The expectations are low. I'm not going to put you in like your own section to where you have to come out with like 15, 20 tricks to fill it. If you do one trick, sick. If you do two, then sweet. And I'll just fill it up as much as you get. There's no like I won't put anything whack in it. And I'd love to hang out with you. And if you want to come out and rip." And that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
Like I just put the ball in his court. And that was the thing for Scumline, it was like these 4 riders. It was like me, Hayden, Josh, Ty. We're riding full time. We have time to commit to full sections. Schwenne, Cook, Randall. I feel like I'm missing people. Obviously the Groms, but I feel like there was somebody else that I'm absolutely missing in the friend sections. But like pretty much I came up to them and I was just like, "Hey, I am not expecting any of you guys to fill a full section, and as many tricks as you get, I'll put in there. But I'm not gonna like set this standard on you guys. I know you guys have like limited amount of time to actually put in. So it was more like, hey, these 4 guys are gonna put down. You guys put down what you can, and if it's one section of friends, then sweet. If it's 2, then sweet. If it's 3, then sweet. We got 2.
Whatever we got, we're gonna work with, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So. Sick. I was just curious on the Randall situation there because I feel like everybody was just ecstatic. I wasn't expecting really Randall to be in it at all. So
yeah.
I think a lot of people probably weren't either. It's like you haven't seen anything in a while, so are we going to see any clips? And bam!
Oh, he bammed you in the face, dude. That back 5 was dirty. I mean, dude, the back 180. That's like I think it was like one of his first tricks in the second friend section. It was like a sunset one. That was like a magical set, dude. Like there's. On the Delta, it's just insane. Like the sunsets that you get in the glass and the way that it's just like crazy. And it was just like, it was insane.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You think he'll ever wakeboard again? Obviously, if I have him on,
I don't know.
Talk to him about it. But
I mean, I would say yeah, but it's just so hard. Like I've tried to get him to just take a mellow set, just because I think not because I'm like trying to change him wakeboarding or anything like that, but like he can't walk practically after he rides. He like rides so hard and his body's just tattered. And I'm like, you probably would like just a mellow set. But then I also think that he probably would get smoked sometimes if he goes wake to wake on like a wake because
what's this thing doing
he doesn't understand how to ride the wake. You know, he like he hits a ramp and lands like in the flats every jump.
Yeah.
The only time he'll hit the wake is his 2 first startup tricks. He goes roll to revert, wake to wake, switch roll to revert, wake to wake, but he does it at like 30 miles an hour. So the wake's like pretty small, or not small, but narrow.
Yeah.
So
fascinating.
Yeah.
So let's talk setup. So you got a board right next to you.
Yeah.
But I want to do obviously boat and cable because you're at both. But let's get into board size, stance angle, rope length, speed. What are you dialing it at?
Yes.
Dialing it in at these days.
So boat side 147, cable side 157. Step it up. Stance. Wherever my bolts land, bro. I just have them ducked out, but I don't even look at numbers. It's more just like it looks cool. Like just it looks good right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not very picky on that one.
Yeah, same vibe over here. Yeah. Looks good, feels good. All right, we're good.
Yeah. And then as far as that. And then I got the loaded version on the boat. I kind of switched that up when I ride boat because on like a smaller wake or like just kind of a fun set where you're not really trying to push into the wake too hard, you can ride the BioCore, and it's like more of like a softer layup, so it kind of has a little bit more like life as far as like, you can just get a little more flex out of it. So you have a little bit more like just feeling on the water, I feel like.
Yeah.
So like all the butters and stuff, if I take my fins off, which I've been doing quite a bit, just like no fin slashes.
training wheels, okay.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
But not jumping the wake. It's pretty hard on jumping the wake. I'm not a big fan of like, that. But
It's
like
squirrely. It's loose.
the slashes that you can do and like the just like TikTok stuff on the wake and all that stuff. Like no fin, super fun. BioCore, super fun. And then if you put like lots of weight and like slam the boat, I feel like the loaded core hold, it's like so stiff, so strong, and so it holds like as you go up the wake, that core doesn't move, so you can like get maximum amount of pop out of it. Where like the bio kind of has a little bit of flex, so when the wakes are super big, I feel like it kind of almost like nose dips and shovels some water.
This is obviously marketing guy at Hyperlite. Now you're getting tech talk.
You asked me setup
talk situation. No, it's good. It's good.
I
like
you
to hear
asked
it.
me. I do switch it quite a bit. I keep a stack of boards in the boat. It's kind of ridiculous, but I have like a board with no fins. So I have like a bio no fins, a bio fins, a loaded one, and they're all just like ready to go. So I can kind of pick and choose what I want.
Well, and it's cool to see like on cable and boat. I think they're both obviously different beasts, but just because you have a boat board doesn't mean, it's like all the other boat boards out there. Like you can have maybe a couple different boat boards depending on what you're feeling. Like if you want to do, like you said, the slash, the butter, the carve around, like a couple wake to wake tricks, like you do a little soft.
On different days, like call for different things, right? Like say like the gas is expensive today, and you're like, I'm gonna take like a super cheap, no weight, just cruisy set. No fins. Or if you're like, man, I'm feeling like I want to drain that bank account today and fill that boat up, you're like,
paycheck just came in, baby.
you're like, let's go. You're like, all right, loaded core, we're gonna film, we're gonna get some heaters, let's figure it out, and then just kind of whatever I'm feeling that day, I guess.
Yeah, I like.
I haven't been very like, like back in the day, you'd hear like 75 feet, 22.7. No matter what boat it is. And it's like, dude, you realize the tower is like set back 3 feet on one boat. One boat's got the tower like next to the windshield. So your 75 like is so different on each boat setup, and like the wake is bigger on. It's just like every boat is different. So like I like do not pigeonhole myself whatsoever in any rope length, any speed, any like I'm open. Like what's your setup? I'll watch you ride on your boat, and then I'll try to like make my own decisions.
Yeah. What on average would you say, typical rope length speed are you?
75 on my boat.
Okay.
But our tower's set pretty far forward. So, I don't know. It's probably like a 72.5 or something on normal boats, which shouldn't be talking about that because West Coast is known for their long ropes.
That's really short, dude. That is so short, dude.
But dude, I've been riding really slow. So like it's been helping my, my injuries a little better, like it keeps the pain down. You ride like 21.5, 21 maybe even.
Dude, that's the cool thing with the new boats, man. They all,
they hold. The wakes are holding and they're going slow. It's like all the back edges don't hurt quite as bad. So you're like, all right, cool. Slower you go, better. If I was still going I never really went too crazy into the flats, but like in the older boats, like when the wakes weren't as big, you could go like into the flats a lot easier. Just didn't feel like you're like just getting slammed. Like my hips would hurt, like trying to do it on the new, like whenever like the G came out, I was like, oh my God, this is not, I don't think the flats are for me anymore.
That's when you know it's bad, when the hips are hurting, dude.
Oh, dude.
The hips.
Yeah, I was like, I'm good. I'm wake to waker for life now.
All right. I need that landing ramp, dude. Give me some transition over there. So let's talk cable then. You said 157, but I guess rope length and speed, obviously.
I keep my stance like the same width, cable and boat. I don't slam it on one or the other. I like to get a little bit of consistency.
Yeah.
157 and I don't know, what was the other question?
I guess, I don't know, boots and bindings.
I got some pretty squirrely boots. I love them. They're called the Gooeys. We actually stiffened them up a little bit this year, which is not a bad thing. They're actually it's good. It's a good thing. We took the bottom and made them into like a real shell, like the real systems pretty much, instead of like leaving it all a sock, because that's pretty much what they were. So now the top of it is a sock, so I'm able to like have the feel that I want, but then the consumer can have the feel that's necessary for actually selling it, because I think like I was in a very unique mindset with the way my setup is. Because I like barely click my systems down, barely latch them. I have tons of heel lift and I love it. And that's by my choice. All I have to do is ratchet my straps down more on the boat. But like, I'll like about that much heel lift and I'm good. My tuck knees are better that way.
You're wild, dude. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense.
So
it does.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Ben Greenwood, and he was saying this is kind of a similar thing, but different. And he was just like, man, I don't know if we should have brought the leather. Like the looseness was like, it had a good vibe to it.
Yeah.
You know?
So when the systems first came out, I was like, this is weird. I don't know if I'm into it. And I was riding like the low end remix open toes, like the cheapest boot that you could potentially get in our lineup, like, whatever package board. And I liked it because it was so loose. And then when the systems came out, I was like, dude, looks like way too much. But then I was kind of like told, like back in the day, they were brand new. Like, hey, you guys, if you're going to ride on our high level, like you need to ride these. Like you just got to figure it out. We're pushing this. So you need to be like,
get on board,
figure it out.
Yeah.
Like you take some time and go figure it out. And then it was interesting because I was like, wait a second. I can run tight boots, feel like I'm secure in the boot, but then run the chassis loose. And so now I feel like I'm tight, but then my heel has looseness to it to where like I can actually get like my knees to roll. And it's interesting because I actually feel like I save my knee ligaments a lot more because of that. Because when you're bolted in, like I've tried bolted in since, and I feel like I have so much strain on all my knees because when you're bolted in, your body wants to go naturally, collapse naturally if you're going to fall. But when you're stuck, you feel like tension in your ligaments. And I run mine loose. So when I fall, my body actually collapses over naturally. And so I don't feel any tension in my knees. Ever since I realized that, because I would ride the systems for like, let's say 3 years, and I jumped on a pair of bolt-on traditionals. And I was like, whoa, dude, nope, tuck knees hurt. Don't like the way they feel. Falling hurts. I'm good.
Just keep them loose, baby. You're good.
Yeah, systems for life.
All right, I got 2 questions on that. I think Ty Hyam, I think he doesn't really cinch down the top of his boot.
We just had this conversation today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was talking to somebody and like both Daniel and Massey were like, oh, it's crazy. I can't, like, this is insane. You're just a nut, dude. He's like, yeah, I don't run my bindings that tight. They're pretty much loose as can be. Essentially, it's the same thing that I'm doing, except I'm still cinched into my boot. I'm just doing it to my binding.
Yeah. So that just goes to show all the riders out there, you don't got to cinch these things down super hard. Whatever boot you got.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing, though. Like, everybody's got their own deal.
But like, if you've got you doing
but I mean,
loose,
like, so,
and then Ty too.
But then if you look at Josh, he rides the de facto, or they're not called the de factos anymore, but Graham's boot, and that's the walking liner in it.
Yeah.
Same thing, dude. That thing rolls like crazy. If you ever put your foot in that, the inside of the liner will kind of like roll over. So it has the same exact feel that the system has, except that one's a Bolton. I've actually never tried that one. So maybe that would be like the in-between Bolton boot that I would think that would be cool. But for me, like, I just hate the sucked down, bolted down, no movement. That's just not for me.
Yeah. And it's also a little scary. So you've done some 1-footers. My take has always been, if you're doing 1-footers, loosen up the foot that is in.
Oh, for sure.
With like just close enough that you're almost falling out.
For sure.
Because then if you fall and you tip, like you don't bend at your knee or your ankle.
I've tried 1-footers on the boat and it terrifies me, dude. Terrifies me. So I put that one to bed.
Yeah.
But on the cable, for some reason, it seems way more lax. Like a 1-footer off the kicker. Like, I haven't done a ton of different variations. I'm not going to say like I haven't done like, Felix is doing some crazy stuff. And I haven't gotten into that, like, really pushing the limits on like 5s and crazy stuff. But I can do like a 1-footed cab and like, I was doing some stuff on the rails here and there, and like that was cool. You just got to make sure if you're going to fall, you just slam your foot next to the other one and keep them close.
Oh, yeah, exactly. keep them tight in there.
Do not let a foot slip. That is the main rule.
So I'm going to start asking this. Foil. You foil?
Not a foiler.
Okay. I was going to ask your foil.
I have foiled 4 times, and I have gone home with cuts and bruises 4 times. So I'm still perfecting it. We'll work on it. I'll probably do it this week.
Okay.
I'll get there.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'm always curious because you're getting,
I don't know what it is, but I get comfortable and then I get too comfortable and I eat it. Like I eat the foil. I don't know I'm not good at falling away from the foil. So what happens is I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting it. This is cool. And then and out of nowhere, shinner, bruised, cut, done. All right, cool. On to the next. I'll get it soon. Yeah, I'm going to get it. E-foil though. I'm actually pretty like that. I can mess with. I don't know why, but I do really well with that.
Because e-foiling is easier than foiling.
Well, it's something about the trigger being able to like, like, it reminds me of jet skiing, right?
Yeah,
so like, I'm like a huge jet skier. And so like, not the sit down one, but like the balance ones and stuff, old schools. And it's all about throttle control and like pulling through. And then the e-foil is like honestly the same thing. You lean and you give it that same like jet ski throttle.
Yeah, you're controlling
and then
it kinda,
it's like, it's totally different. But for some reason, being subject to whatever's propelling me underneath the water, like just the waves and stuff, I get like, I don't know, dude. I get a little squirrely.
E-foils are fun though, dude. I will say that they're a lot of fun. So we're kind of talking the news of the present, I guess. You are still a rider, obviously, but you are now the marketing manager at Hyperlite. Is that the correct nomenclature?
Yep. Marketing / team manager.
Okay.
Marketing is a big role though. I'll tell you that. Like I'm realizing, because it was funny when I first got offered, or not offered, but when we first announced it, I was like, yeah, team manager, then marketing. He's like, no, you definitely, we're going to say marketing manager. And I was like, no, I really want to be like, I want it to be known that like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, trust me, dude, you're the marketing manager. And I was like, all right. And then I'm like in all these meetings about marketing and this and that. I'm like, okay, yes, you're right. You're right. It's definitely heavy marketing. And then like within the marketing, you're managing the team because they are part of the marketing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So you know, by taking this job, are you retiring from being a professional rider?
Interesting question, huh? I'm going to give probably cable like another year and see what I can do. But I kind of removed myself. I moved north 2.5 hours from the cable, and I'm in the process of trying to make a cable at my house. But because there's a lull in that, it's hard to get to the cable with the 2 kids. And when I do devote the time to go ride, it's pretty like a no-brainer to go ride boat and progress on the boat. I don't know why, but it just seems like when I spend my time on the boat, it translates a lot easier for going 2.5 hours away, because I go another half an hour or so, and it's like I'm at the boat, and I don't know, it seems like home.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just give like a cable like another like season and just try to see what I can do, and definitely like push it a little bit here and there, and like, but I think I'm gonna probably put the cable to bed here soon and just like let other riders maybe take that position, you know, be a team manager on that side and like still ride.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm done this year on the cable, because I got like some stuff coming out and whatnot, but what?
Okay. Like that.
But yeah, definitely just like time management is becoming an issue.
Yeah,
and so I got to start picking and choosing where I'm going to spend the time, because like, yeah, like I said, like the boat, I can go ride boat at Shasta 10 minutes away with my family, but family time boating and trying to keep up with like the curve is definitely different. And Josh is about 3 hours away or so. So like to go ride a heavy set and actually progress and feel like I'm like putting my quote unquote time on, it's 3.5 hours, 3 hours or so. Yeah. And then you come home, you have kids, and then I got this job with Hyperlite that's very important and takes a lot of time. And so like trying to delegate time management right now, I just feel like something's got to break, and I think the cable is probably going to do the job.
So you get your own in your backyard, right?
And then, once I
wake up, take a set.
Well, exactly. And then I could ride anybody's board. And then the idea would be like to invite all the guys over, and they can like do R&D, they could do training, they could just stay there and film video parts. Like, I'm not saying I'm like done with cable. It's more so like I want to devote my time and energy into making the team the best that, you know, we can make it, and market them the best that I can. And right now I feel like I can do that with the boat. Like I feel like I can still, like my style on the boat works for that, because it's more of like a cruisy, I don't want to say non-progressive, because I feel like I've definitely done some things that have been progressive on the boat, but I mean like a lot of it is like kind of like style based.
Yeah,
and
not as many handle passes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I can like kind of keep that like base of riding at my house at home, and then go train with Josh like twice a week or something. And then when it's time to like film a section, I can still hold my own. Where like cable, like I think it's just going to be hard to even stay relevant.
Cable moves quick too.
And like, you know, other people are wanting to get in, and, you know, like there's no reason to like bog down the system.
Hey, you're hogging in the lineup with so many pro models. You know, you got to make some room for some people. So.
Yeah. So I'll probably stay. I think it's good to stay connected though, right? Like I felt kind of weird at first, like, oh yeah, team manager, marketing manager, and athlete, kind of weird, right? you kind of feel like, are you stepping on toes? Is this allowed? I don't know. Is the team going to feel like I'm like taking things, or like, what's the deal with this? It just feels like a very weird sense of like where you belong on that athletic side. But then the more I think about it, the more I can stay relevant to them, and the more that I can like kick it with them on like an athletic side, allows them to come to me with sick projects or sick things, and I can relate to them. It's easier to relate to them. So like the longer that I can like stay relevant, then the better I think the relationship with me and the athletes will be. And then when my time has come and I feel like it's like over, which I know that time will come, and I don't want to be like around for no reason, right? Like I'm there. The coolest part about my job now is I got to go to every team shoot, right? So like I could go to I'm going to be at the cable shoot. I just did a cable shoot, but in the future I'll be going to every cable shoot. Middle of the day, if I want to take a set, I take a set, right? Like it's not like I'm like giving up what I'm doing. So there's no like, oh, I need to be this because then if I give this up, then I don't get to do it anymore. Like I'm in a really cool position with Hyperlite that like I feel like I can kind of pick and choose my time on that. Yeah. And I feel like I said, the cable side, I'm gonna give another year, and then I think I need to like wash my hands on that and give that position to somebody else that actually cares and wants to take it to a progressive level and, you know, take it to the next level. And I think it's good for the brand. But with the boat, I think if I stay relevant, it's good for everybody. And when time's up, time's up.
So is that hard to realize that, you know, it's not official now that like your time as an athlete is up or running up, but like it's very nice. Obviously, it's awesome that you now have gotten a behind the scenes job. It's a goal of everybody's, and I think the whole industry. It's amazing to have people who are true riders and creatives in those positions, because that helps the whole sport. Obviously, it helps Hyperlite as well, but it helps the whole sport. I believe, to have people like you in those positions. Was that weird or hard? Was that confusing? I guess to like navigate through this part of your life.
I have struggled for 2 years now in my mind trying to figure out how to navigate having kids, moving away from the lake, moving away from my friends, and where do I fit in? And I started to lose my identity a little bit. And so I started venturing into my mind like, oh, okay, should I go get like a fireman job? Should I go like, where do I fit in? Like, and just so you can end it on your own terms and not get it taken away. And not that I was anywhere close on getting it taken away, but when you start losing your, to become a pro athlete, you sink and immerse everything into it, right? Like your whole life kind of has to portray into that zone, whether it's you move to Florida or like everything. But for me, it was like, I listened to music every night to edit to. I thought about every single time I got on a plane, it was my time that I would take to think of new tricks, and I would just keep a notebook and I would just write down every new trick or everything I wanted to do in a video part. And then, you know, you get home and you watch every single video that comes out every single night, and you're so immersed in it. And then you ride as much as possible, and you burn through all your money and your gas money because it's a part of just the love, and that's what you love. And that's where all of your energy goes. You know, you miss big events at home just to go ride because that's where your head's at, right? All I want to do now is just be the best dad that I can be. And so my mind has switched completely to where it's like, how do you be the best athlete that you can be, but be home as much as possible, right? I don't know. It's really hard to like not talk about, but it's really hard to relate to people that don't have kids, because before kids, I thought I'd wakeboard forever, and I am going to wakeboard forever. I'm going to wakeboard for as long as I can because my kid's going to love it. And all of a sudden I'm going to be on the water like 100% of the time, and I'm still riding. I'm still riding boat, and I'm like going to be working on new things and hopefully putting on new sections. And I'm not done on the boat side of things at all. Yeah. I feel like there's tons of room to grow on the boat, to be honest. But my mind is not the same as it was as far as like just sinking it fully into wakeboarding. Like I have other things going on. Yeah. And, so I don't think there was like, when this job came up to switch, it was like, dude, perfect timing. Like such a God, for me, it was like such a God thing saying, this is the direction that you're going. You get to stay in the thing that you love. You've built so many relationships. You've been able to like navigate through the whole industry and meet all these people. And like this, I was talking to somebody else the other day, and it was almost like, what if everything that you've done now built you into this, and this is just the beginning? You know, like what if this is like, I'm about to start the new beginning, and this is like, you know, so you just don't know. But I think right now in my life, like I'm totally cool with like all of that. Like I said, I'm 34 years old. I'm not young. My body doesn't feel great. Like I have to work pretty hard to make sure I can ride. It's not as easy as just like popping out there anymore. I found that out today. I haven't ridden in a while, and I went and rode with the boys, and it was difficult. And I know I got to go home and put some work in and get on that old Peloton. And so
you got to get an ice bath, dude. You got to talk to Corey.
Yeah, it sounds like I got an ice bath. So, but yeah, man, I think I'm totally cool with it, man. I mean, not even think. I am totally cool with it. I'm like so at ease with this position change. It's totally different. It's a lot more sitting at an office than I thought it was going to be. Big time. Like I'm in front of the computer. Like Tuesdays, don't even try to get a hold of me. I am in meetings, bro. It's wild. But yeah, so like, I mean, like, yeah, it's definitely different, and it's a transition, and I'm trying to learn and navigate just the transition in general, because I've never held like a real 9-to-5 job ever in my life. I went from West Coast camps to video editing and just trying to like nickel and dime my way through videos, all the way till I got paid wakeboarding, and then I became a wakeboarder, and I made all my extra money video editing. And then once it swapped and I started making some money wakeboarding, then I was able to slow down, and then I started picking up so I could make extra money. So it was just like I always navigated my own thing. So like having structure is like probably where I'm trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Corporate America is it's its own unique kind of beast for sure.
But it's sick. I get to hang out with my best friends all the time. And honestly, the coolest part is like as an athlete, I had so many ideas and visions what I wanted to do within the brand, and then not everything pans out. And so now, like I get to maybe make some of those visions that I had pan out. And then now the athletes, because I'm so comfortable with them, like they can come to me and be like, dude, let's do this, let's do that. And I can be like, oh man, that'd be sick. Let's do it. That'd be great for the brand.
Yeah.
Let's figure out a way to make this work.
Okay. So speaking of which, you are, you know, I wouldn't say you control the money, but if someone has a really rad idea, you kind of have some power of being like, you know what? Yeah, we can pursue and kind of try and explore that, right?
I will. This year is a little different. And when I got in, budgets were already made, right? So like, I'm kind of like, I'm driving the train that's already started. It's already going, and I'm just kind of like on it. But I have, like Nelson has tons of respect for me and my opinions, and he's my boss now. And so when I bring him ideas, he's totally willing and open to think about everything right now and all my marketing stuff, but the budget's been made. So like, there's only so much that we can do outside of what's already been like, put out. But I'm excited. Well, and honestly, I don't even know if I want that budget yet, because I'm trying to learn how to just write emails correctly and like
figure out the job. And
dude, there's like so much stuff. Like I'm in like, I got these new apps on my computer, then they're all going off, and reminders over here. I need another monitor over there. It's just like, I'm just trying to get my feet in the ground at the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's like way more behind scenes than you ever thought. Like I've been an athlete for a long time with this brand, and I had no idea how fast things move. And, so yeah, just learning. But
So speaking of which, I guess in the future, when you say there's either a Hyperlite team rider who has an idea for a project, or just someone who's like, a rider coming up and is like, hey man, like how do I figure out a way to maybe make this happen?
Yeah.
What would be some things you want to see from riders and kids coming up that would get you stoked to be like, you know what? Yeah, maybe that's something we would support.
So like your first question was like the just things to do and all that stuff. You kind of had two questions in there, but your first one was like ideas and where the budget goes. And I was on a photo shoot with the whole team this last week. We shot our cable stuff. Graham's already spitting out sick ideas like, hey, what do you think about this and this and this? And I'm like, dude, I actually think that we might be able to do that. Like starting to think about like numbers and like how much money it costs to get everybody together and go do this and go do that. But if we went here and cut corners there, this might make work. This might make sense.
Yeah.
I think that, maybe. And so like, that's something. So this is where I'm talking about the budget, right? That might be something to where in the fall, when we actually start making budgets, it's like, hey, this is kind of what I was thinking. Let's put this in the budget. And then I can start actually navigating I think in the fall, it'll be fun to learn how budgets are made, because I haven't had to deal with that yet. Right now we're about to do our Shreducation event. We're doing our photo shoots. And so like everything's moving quickly and it's already going. And now I'm just trying to like make it work. Once we get that stuff behind us and we can start thinking about like budgets for next year and all this stuff, it'll be super fun to like navigate that. And then that's when I feel like I'm going to be more in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to see everything. I'm going to understand where it's all at. And then I'm going to be able to pick and choose what we're doing with it. And so, so that's your first question. So I'm excited that I think fall is going to be a very unique and cool time in being in this new position.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now I'm in learning. That'll be like doing. So that'll be cool. And then for coming up and stuff like that, still learning what I'm still figuring out who's on the teams. Like you have your set team and then you have people on flow. As an athlete, you really don't know who the heck's on flow, right? There could be a guy in Germany, there could be a guy over in Texas, and I'm just getting emails like, hey, Bo, I'm trying to put together who's even out there. Like I'm getting people out of the woodworks that I don't know. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Okay, I'm doing my research, trying to figure this out. So I'm like just trying to figure out the whole team aspect that we have going on, which is interesting because I just didn't even, another thing you just don't think about. You're like, oh yeah, the team. But there's like a much bigger program going on than just like the dudes you see on the website.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like advice for kids right now and the landscape that I'm at right now, which could be totally different coming in fall, right? Like once I'm like seeing how everything is working even more. But right now I'm very social media driven, where our goal is to like get our socials and our first frontline material that everybody sees. I don't want to say at a higher standard because I feel like our standards hopefully have been really high, but I want to say in a more hands-on way. I don't know. I started doing the Instagram about 3 weeks ago, maybe or so, somewhere around then. And I'm trying to like do like more layouts and like really give like good write-ups to the riders. And then when the product drops, we'll have good product reviews and like more so like instead of just like slapped awake, man. High five with the high five emoji. It's like,
it's not doing anything for anyone.
Yeah. It's like Noah Flegel at the shoot was trying to perfect this thing. He actually like, whatever,
tell a story.
Whatever it is, like, like try to tell a story or give back or just, so like, that's a goal, increase our reels, maybe edit more reels, get more footage from the riders, like on like a more day-to-day basis rather than just coming out of the photo shoot, trying to get the team to get me footage. That's a whole nother thing. There's just like, I'm just trying to work on like our upfront frontline material. So like everybody's seeing some cool stuff. And then, so if somebody coming in, that stuff is important to me, right? If you're going to want a free board or something and you rip and you could maybe add value, but there's no room yet or anything. And you just want a foot in the door. Show me what you've done, show me what you're doing, show me why it would make sense. And then maybe, if I have room or I have the budge, like why not? I'll take a look at it. But that stuff's important at the moment. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that's important to remember if you're any, kid coming up is that, like you just mentioned, like the lead time on a lot of this stuff. If a kid comes to you right now, is like, I want to do a project, this summer, which is in a couple months from now, I'd love some money. It's like, whoa, maybe next summer, like, get some lead time on this. Give me a nice pitch.
There's definitely like some things that we can just be like, yeah, for sure, go do it. I've seen it already happen where it's like, hey man, like I want to go do this and do that. Can I get a little bit of budge? And it's like, well, maybe we don't give you money. So it's like, yeah, dude, like here's something extra. So that way you can feel like you can go do something and it stokes you out because you get to do your project and it helps us out because we get to use the content or whatever. Like that makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, big scale stuff. Don't even mid-season, like definitely bring it to me. I'm all ears. I want to be all ears all the time, but don't expect it to be an absolute yes, because I don't even know, like at the moment right now, I don't even know what I'm working with. So next year, like I said, I think this year I'm learning, and I'm so glad that Nelson's like kind of easing me into that, because I feel like if I just had all of a sudden the budget and the power, it would just be like, I'd be like a deer in the headlights, dude.
Fire hose coming.
I'm already like deer in the headlights, and I don't even have to like do that stuff yet.
Yeah. So. As this job, you're the team manager, and it is typically the team manager's job to, manage the team.
Yeah.
In terms of who's on it and who's not.
Yep.
Is that something that you are like, have you thought about what it's going to have to be like to, bring people on, which is going to be really exciting? But then also tell people their time is, Yeah,
that one's going to be a difficult one. I actually got on. So we actually just had that happen, but I wasn't a part of it. It was like, And if it had to happen, I don't really know what the conversations were because I wasn't involved in that. It was before me, but there's like a couple, some names like we're not here right now. And I'm kind of glad I wasn't a part of that right now because that would have sucked if they were like, hey, get on and then go do this clip. I'm like, what? So like they were nice enough to like keep
Take
me
care
out
of that stuff before you came in.
and I was very thankful.
Yeah.
Like
And that's a good way to do
I
that.
don't want to be a part of that. Not first day. Like, let me have some say if that's going to happen. I would not have had say, I don't think. So it's like, that was cool. And then going forward, I think my goal is to be extremely upfront. So that way, if whoever's doing something is maybe lacking, we explain and we maybe try to fix the problem instead of just like problem just happening, or at least they're aware, and then bringing on setting expectations as well. Cause like if you're maybe a no name or you're coming up, or maybe you do have a name, but your like name's not like solidified, then, you know, like Nelson brought me on in a way that like I worked and I continued to work and I continued to get more because I worked and I like showed passion into Hyperlite, right? There's definitely some people that you could just be like, yep, you're on the team getting paid because they're high impact, high value riders, right? They're going to move the needle.
Yeah.
But then there's also riders that you want to give a chance that aren't going to move the needle today, but maybe might move the needle
You can see something
in
and
5
like,
years.
yo, you will. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, that's where like, I think the hard part is going to be is like, hey, well, I want you, I might not be able to do anything right now, but I like what I'm seeing. So like the fact that I'm telling you, I like what I'm seeing, if you don't mess up in the future, maybe like if we are working well together and you keep your, you know, head straight and I keep like my head straight, then we'll figure out how to make this work in the long run.
Yeah.
But I think setting expectations correctly is going to be an important one. So that why it's not like, hey man, like, yeah, dude, I'm going to hook you up next year with whatever. And then next year comes and nothing happens. That stuff as a rider would piss me off. And it happened over and over and over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean like to not do that would be my goal. So I'm going to try really hard, but I mean, everything's moving so fast. It's crazy. Like that's the craziest part. It's like when something's in the air, oh, it's in the air and then it moves quick is what I'm realizing. So it's like, okay, cool. Like, let's just like make sure everything's like up front with everybody. And then like, we'll move from there. But thankfully I don't have to be a part of that anytime soon. Everything's done, hopefully. And I can just like keep everybody kind of happy and like try to make their situation the best that it can be on the team, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the bringing on and bringing off thing, that's going to be just a wild ride. I think the best part will be when you bring somebody on full page because they just rip and then you're just like, here's everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens or not, but if I end up doing that, that just seems like a fun way to bring somebody on because it's just like pop the beers and let's go. But the slow draw in will be cool as well because I think like you'll see growth in people and then they'll be loyal to you in the long run.
And you can actually like in that slow growth, you can be like, you know, give them advice here and there, and then they heed that advice and they continue to go down the path. And it's like, this is sick. Like,
I mean,
Nelson
always did that. Like for me, like he's definitely picked up riders out of nowhere that like were just like heavy hitter riders because you have to have that in your brand. But he also is like he's getting people younger and bringing them in. Look at, Kane Ward. I mean, he's really small example, but like, dude, Kane's sick and he's bringing him in. He's just setting like some expectations and Kane's clicking them off. And, you know, it's going to be super fun to be Kane's team manager and actually watch him grow up into a pretty wild position.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be super cool. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be sick. I'm super pumped, dude.
It's exciting.
I'm having a great time. It's just
except on Tuesdays.
So
Tuesdays is a little busy.
Tuesdays is busy, man.
Still a good time probably, but busy Tuesdays.
You'll get if you call me, I'm just gonna text you and say I'm in a meeting.
Just set the auto text.
Yeah, dude.
In a meeting.
For real.
All right. One last thing before you get to some Patreon questions here, which the Patreon questions will air on YouTube the Sunday after this episode comes out. Publicly on YouTube, but on the Wednesday after this podcast comes out, they'll be on Patreon. So a little bit early perk there. If you're on Patreon, get them a little bit earlier. But they will come out Sunday on YouTube after the episode releases. Last question before, do some thank yous and stuff. What gets you hyped on wakeboarding right now?
What gets me hyped on wakeboarding? Me personally or just in general?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Personally, right now, what gets me hyped on wakeboarding is a good set. Like, you definitely have a lot of bad sets, but when you have a good set, that's sick. And I want to say like landing new tricks because they don't come by too easy now. So when you hit like something new, even if it's like just figuring out something like whatever, that's always an insane feeling. So for me, like right now, like that's cool. And then just in general, man, dude, I'm having a lot of fun at these team trips and watching the team camaraderie. So like, I think, watching the fun vibes and everybody, like I could say something like video sections and the progression and this and that and whatever, but I feel like that's just like a no brainer. Like you want like credible stuff in our industry and whatever. But I think like, not losing like the fire and the passion and stuff like that, that fuels me because that makes it feel like everybody's still passionate about what they're doing. So that was like I just spent some time with, Campbell, out at the cable, and she's like high energy, super excited. And she's like super acute to detail, but then like we were all just like high energy at the dock, and it was cool to see somebody like excited and genuinely happy about wakeboarding. And like, just, yeah. And then like our shoot was pretty small on this one, but it was like Graham, JB, myself and Campbell, and like Graham hit a new trick and the whole dock was like, it's like, that was super fun. Like that to me is fueling me. Yeah.
That's a good answer. I like that. It's like the obvious ones are good video parts, blah, 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 all that stuff. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, we get that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just natural stoke on the water is sick.
Yeah. Seriously. It's infectious.
Yeah, totally.
Good answer.
Totally.
All right. Before we get to the Patreon questions, anybody you want to thank or anything you want to touch on before?
I definitely want to thank God. I feel like He's really navigated my whole life to just opening up doors when doors needed to be opened, and positioning and giving me like the talent and at least the time and the persistence to get the talent to when the door does open, I'm like ready for the position, whatever that might be, whether it's the filming thing, like everything just seems like it was like a door that I walked through that opened up a whole nother thing. And to me, that was not like coincidence. That was like God. That was 100% God opening that thing and putting me through the door. I had to walk through it, but like He opened it. So like that's huge. My family, like my actual close, like my immediate family, my mom and my sister and my dad sacrificed quite a bit as a young Grom trying to make it, and would not be where I am today if they didn't like just really dive into.
Delve is a good one too.
Yeah, delve. I think, yeah.
That's a good word.
Delve into just like the support and doing the INT and bringing the boat and trying to just like, they didn't know anything about wakeboarding back in the day. And my dad would like read all the how-tos and try to be my coach and just allowing me to like follow my passion. And my sister was just like super supportive. So that was a big deal. And then my wife is insane, like a supporter. I met her when I was doing Alsur. So in the very beginning of the full length, well, actually the last trip of Alsur. So she watched me edit it. But like the whole time I would just be hours and hours and hours and hours just editing through the night. And then when Dog Days came on, she's like, you got to do it. And then Scumline was a big deal, man. Like I left her for 2 months and lived in a RV at Mike Bell's house because it's so hard to get into a rhythm with kids, like just around all the time, that I had to like fully separate myself. So I moved away into I edited the whole entire Scumline in my RV, away from my family. And so I only saw my wife and my kids 2 or 3 weekends or so in that whole entire 2 months of editing. And I did 2 months pretty much straight. I did about 8 to 12 hours a day. I barely rode. We didn't ride much that during that time. And so it's like the sacrifice to raise our child away, even though I was only 2 hours away from her, was like a pretty big deal. So yeah, huge shout out to Allie and and then obviously my sponsors. And there's like so many people it's like it's kind of hard to like even say, right? You have like Schwenne's, you have the Twelker family, like huge. Like the Twelker family let me live with them for a couple years in their house. And they like paid, I want to say they paid for my gas. I'm pretty sure my parents just gave them rent. and then they paid for all my fuel, which means like I made like $75 an edit on Alliance, like back in the day when I was doing all that stuff. So it was like to not like have to pay for fuel. I'm pretty positive. And so like, yeah, that was a huge deal. So to them, Nelson at Hyperlite had my back since day one. The fact that he even brought me on like the trips when he did, I feel like I probably didn't even have the qualifications. There's probably a lot of other people on the roster, but he just saw something in me, which was sick. So like that was cool to even have a chance. And then all MB, the crazy opportunities that I have building boats and making I pretty much they don't even ask me what they want when we go shoot their video content. They're like, oh yeah, just go shoot it and then make whatever. And then we use it. So like, I pretty much like get to like brand their company, which is like crazy. So like, the MB thing is like super cool. They've been like awesome. And then, the sponsors are sick. Fat Sack, I pretty much was the team manager, marketing manager with Fat Sack before Hyperlite. That's how it led into this. I was doing that for a year, but it was like a much smaller scale.
I was gonna say, is that a pretty easy team to manage?
I mean, there's like 3 other people, and like the Fat Sacks are such good quality. They never even ask for product. Like once you buy a Fat Sack, you're pretty much good. Like other than like continuing to buy more product because it's like you need like more applications, but like that nose bow sack, it ain't breaking. That thing's solid. So like, getting like managing that team was like you're managing like one shoot, and then like content that product that they need here and there, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. So
I would say, I think my family still has the same Fat Sacks we got
telling you,
15 years ago, and I treat them like shit. We treat them I'm not gonna lie.
They're the best quality.
That's Michigan winners too. So,
dude, straight up. Shout out Fat Sack if you need any gear, they got you solid. It's a good investment. Let's just say that.
All right, love that. A lot of good thank yous there. So,
and then as far as Patreon goes, I brought a goodie bag here.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I got some Scumline shirts. I think Hayden's mailing me some XLs. Right now I have this is the one I wore. Hang on, this is my personal one. I wasn't sure if I was going to wear that one today or not. So
you want the Mint 400
instead. If anybody wants a double XL used with some BO. Yeah, no, got some hats. I figured you could have one right there.
I would love yours.
And then this is the Patreon hat right here. And then I got some posters in here, a shirt, some stickers. And then, I'm going to take this right here. It's unopened.
Yeah, do the unopened one. We'll put the open one on there.
Careful with the shelf, though. I'm a little nervous.
Yep,
so DVD collection. So full Scumline kit. You're kitted. Patreons. Let's go.
I mean, is there any way you want to do this, or I'll just do the giveaway on the Patreon? And I mean, could we you get creative if you want? We could do something. I don't know.
Well, if we're gonna get creative, let's like maybe think about it. When this
think about
podcast over, and we'll have a questionnaire or something. We'll figure something out afterwards because I don't want to spend more time on questions I don't even know. All right. Yeah, no, the collection's cool and the stickers are pretty tight. We don't have too many of them left, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
limited quantity.
I mean, I guess I have a website now, so I guess I could make more. So,
I don't think you need the website to make more, but it would help.
Yeah. And if you want one of these and you're having a hard time logging into the website for whatever reason, then just hit me up in the DMs and send me your Addy, and I'll get some Venmo going or whatever.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks a ton for coming on, man. It really means a lot. I'm glad we could line this up when you're here for Show Education and run a pod up. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It means a lot. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and join that Patreon if you're interested in supporting the podcast and maybe winning some Scumline gear.
Heck yeah, dude. Thanks a ton. That was rad.
See you guys next time.